don't talk about money or sex in America.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest for you is Aaron Chapman.
And I'm going to break this sucker off.
You're going to break it off?
It is frustrating the hell out of me. It itches like crazy. So the one thing about it, the pain is not there, but the damn itching, insane.
Oh, man. You're good.
So if you don't mind me just putting that there.
I think that makes you an official badass right there, doesn't it? Taking off the brace on a live on a show like that. As long as
not taking anything else off, I think we're good.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. So look, man, you got all kinds of great stuff, man. You got the mortgage that is exploding.
Yes, sir.
That you got doing right now, your mortgage business. You've got some incredible, actually several books that you've written, but you got a cool initiative with a 13 kind of chapter book there that I want to talk about with you.
Cool.
You got the new show you're coming out with on YouTube. It's kind of a man camp, I guess it would be, to a certain degree.
I got to get women out there too, though, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to have the women in the episodes, because there's a lot that have actually reached out and said, I want in.
Yeah.
Like, we want you in, right? We want you guys to come out and have a good time, show us up.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Most of them will probably, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about that with you. Before we do all that, though, let's back up just for a second. For those that don't know you, the viewers that don't know you right now, back up just a little bit in business. And I know you have a unique background there. Tell me a little bit about where Aaron started from. What was your childhood like? What was that growing up like with Aaron?
So, grew up in New Mexico is where I was born, a little rural town. Dad was a miner.
A miner.
So he came out of the military, was running heavy equipment military. He was in the military intelligence, that kind of stuff. Then got into the mines in New Mexico, because that's what you did in New Mexico.
Mining. What was he mining for?
Uranium.
Uranium. Okay.
So it was uranium mines all over the place there.
Okay.
So I grew up watching him.
All right.
And I grew up wanting, like, that's my idol. That's who I wanted to be like. And I remember, you got the winters would come, and we'd go up on the mountain with the truck, and he'd have his chainsaw, and my grandpa would be following, and we're cutting wood, and I enjoyed all that time as a kid.
Okay.
And then he had to chase the mines all over the place. Went to Wyoming from there, and then my great uncle passed. He didn't have children. He really loved my dad. Had him come take care of him in the last few months of his life, and then just left everything to my pop. And then we just stayed in Arizona for a bit, and then eventually from there, we picked up a cattle ranch in central Utah, Manti, in fact.
Manti.
So 900 acres. We were running 500-600 head of cattle a year, and it was awesome.
How old were you when you did the cattle?
It was all my high school years.
High school, okay.
So high school years, and I really embraced it because I enjoyed what you got out of the simplest business plan in existence, right?
Okay.
When it comes to the raising the feed, it was you got to plant it, you got to water it, you got to cut it, and you put it up and you store it, right?
Yeah.
Same with the cattle. You bring them in, you got to do certain things, and it was fun when you're cowboying. You're in the saddle of on the horse all the time, roping, branding. Branding time was a blast. Getting the shit kicked out of you by all the bulls.
You had it happen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, I got one bull. My pop had this little fat Simmental bull. We called him Toad.
Okay.
And I got him to where I could ride that thing.
Yeah.
And when Pop wasn't looking, he doesn't like us messing with his stock, but when he wasn't looking, I got to where I could jump on Toad and start walking him around.
Wow.
And when Pop found out I was just about to a point where I get that Toad reining, he sold the damn thing. He's like, you're not riding my stock. So that was...
So you kind of grew up, high school years, would you call it as a cowboy?
In a way, even though I tried not to look like one, because I tried it. I even tried putting on the Wranglers and the damn brush proppers and shit, and it just didn't feel right. I mean, I was trying to fit the mold, because you're trying to experiment a little bit. And then I just went back to what I felt like, which I loved the snowboard and the skating and stuff like that at that time. So I kind of went back that direction as far as my exterior look was concerned, but I love the cowboying.
Yeah.
I had a blast out there on the ranch. And in Manti, you can get away with a lot of stuff in the 90s.
Okay.
So it was early 90s. I don't think I attended school just a little bit. I graduated because I could pick a lock.
Yeah.
So I did more snowboarding and more hunting than I did any schooling. So I got a C because I engineered the C.
Okay, you created it.
Because I knew where all the tests were at within the school, and I figured out where I can get to them. I created a little business out of it.
So you literally
were
breaking into it, getting the test, and then getting the answers so you could get a C.
Exactly. So
and that was still only a C, even though you had the test.
no, I engineered the C.
Oh, you engineered a C. Okay.
So then the reason I did that is because there was one time I had provided, because I made sure it was the monetization of the test.
You were running a business. You said
I ran a business. I never had to do my homework. I had other people doing it.
So hell, you're an entrepreneur out of high school.
Right out of the gate.
Wow.
And it really was because it was necessity. I hated it. I hated the school part of it. I loved the just dicking off part that high school was.
Yeah, the screwing around part.
So I showed up for ceramics class. I showed up for auto shop. That was it. Showed up to play football. That was it.
Yeah.
The rest of stuff I tried to dick off all I could. I mean, you had to make an appearance on occasion, so you still did. And then there's one time I'm sitting in this algebra class, and I'd taken the test, and I guess I wasn't paying attention at what I was supposed to be getting wrong. And I got too many of them right.
Too many right.
Than I should have. The guy behind me got 100%.
Yeah.
And he was also one that needed the test from me.
Okay.
Well, then they get graded, and the teacher, who was also our principal at the time, he's like, "There's no way you two idiots got those scores." So we have the two rooms, the two classrooms next to each other, and then it had the offices between them separating the classrooms.
Okay.
He goes, "Aaron, you go here to that test, that office,
oh, no.
and so you go to this one. You guys retake the exact same test.
Okay.
We just took 20 minutes ago." He got a 15, I got like a 57. So he's like, "I have no idea how you guys did that, so I'll split the difference with you," which I thought was awesome.
That's actually pretty fair.
They really did that kind of thing, and I never got busted. Thinking back on it, I'm very glad I didn't. And I really, because a lot of times I got to think, it's like, would I have done something else academically had I actually applied myself? I'm like, hell no, I wouldn't have. Because I can't stand sitting there. I can't stand being in one place.
Did you go to college?
No, I took one half of a college course at the hell with this crap. I went. I
so
did
not
a little
a
bit
half
of history.
A semester, half of a course.
No, it was maybe not even half. It was probably a half of a quarter in high school because I could take it, but I tried it, and I went right into my counselor's office and what do I got to do to graduate? And he looked at me, he goes, "You need all electives." Like, are you shitting me? So I dumped my college history course, and I took 3 hours of auto shop, 3 hours of ceramics, and 3 hours of aid.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
You getting a lot of fights in high school?
Not in high school. I did a ton in junior high and grade school. All through grade school and junior high, I was constantly fighting, constantly slugging out with somebody. I mean, it is one guy stabbing me with a pencil, I'm beating the shit out of somebody else with something. I was just always fighting.
Yeah.
Then in high school, it wasn't the thing. Just something about the small town atmosphere. It's not that you didn't have the disagreements, you didn't slug it out once in a while, but just didn't happen that way.
Because of the small town.
Yeah, everybody just got along. Yeah, there's people that wanted to kick my ass and vice versa, but it just didn't happen that way.
Sure.
We took it out at each other on the field. We did get in fights with other cities.
Yeah,
right?
teams.
You go down to
yeah,
Richfield and you'd stand outside the locker room, the game is done, you beat the hell out of each other with your helmets.
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of thing.
Right on, man. So you grew up almost as an entrepreneur straight out of the gate in high school. As an entrepreneur. Tell the viewers a little bit about what you do now. Catch us up to speed. What is Aaron Chapman business-wise
Okay, yeah, so we just
do?
got into, there's a reason why I even got into the high school shit, because it had nothing to do with really that I was going to lead that direction. But you're right, I didn't think about the entrepreneur thought process back then. But then after high school, did the LDS mission thing, went to...
Where did you go?
Spokane, Washington.
Spokane, okay.
Well, actually, I graduated halfway through high school because that's all I needed was electives. So halfway through, I could leave on a work exit. Well, I can't remember what they call that thing. A work program. Sounds like something in prison.
Yeah, I was about to say that's what it sounds like, man.
Because that's what school was prison. So I went from there to Wyoming to work in the oil fields. So
oil, okay.
My dad, when we were in the Wyoming as a kid, he got to know a guy who started a welding company. So I worked for that welding company out in the oil fields, and I had a blast. I mean, it was really cold running around in the plains of Wyoming in the cold, freezing your ass off. The wind would come through there, 80 some below.
Yeah.
And it was just a really cool experience. And so then when I left that, went on the mission, came back, my parents had sold the ranch, and my dad's Irish, and so he can only tolerate so much shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So the partners and him, it kind of went sideways, and I don't know all the details. They don't get into it. My dad don't talk about it, but they sold, and they went back to Arizona, and he went back to mining.
Okay.
Because he was still in his late 40s.
Now, was he born here or born in?
New Mexico.
He was born in New Mexico.
Yeah, born in New Mexico.
Just the heritage is Irish.
Yeah, the heritage is Irish. So if you go all the way back, his mom's side is 100% Irish.
Okay.
His dad's side's English and Irish.
I just didn't know if you were second generation or not.
No, it goes back several generations.
Okay.
We can also trace most Chapmans in the United States back to one guy who's buried in Manti.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So that there was a whole group that came over from. Let's say there's a Chapman castle in Ireland.
He was a busy man.
Oh yeah. Well, he had like 15 wives. I mean,
yeah.
I don't even know what he had. He did what time he had on the weekends to for himself.
Yeah. How do you do that? 15 wives.
I'm not going to find out.
Yeah. So you went back. You see a while ago. You said you out of high school you went to Spokane on the mission.
So high school to Wyoming to work in the oil fields. Came back, went to Spokane on the mission. Came back. My parents had moved back to Arizona.
Yeah.
Then I just started working digging swimming pools.
Okay.
So I was running heavy equipment. Then I went to driving truck, and then from there my dad got me an opportunity to work in the mines with him in northern New Mexico, which to me was the pinnacle of everything. Because I remember as a kid hearing Dad talk about underground, and there's two types of guys down there. There's what he calls his opposites, and he calls his partner. So his partner was the guy he's working with in a heading.
Okay.
If you hate your partner, life is miserable, right? And your opposites are guys on the other shifts. So it was 3 shifts all the time. It was days, swing, and graveyard shift. So when we went up there, we're working graveyard shift, and it was 10-hour shifts. There's a total of 12 hours between when you show up on site by the time you're back out and back in your truck. So we were on there for our first 13 shifts, and it was awesome. 700 feet underground, drilling, blasting, playing with explosives. It was a phenomenal job. And after several months of doing that, well, it was actually after about a week of really got my feet underneath me. We left after that first shift, went home. I saw my wife and my son started crawling. And it really got to me to see my kid starting to have milestones in her life that I wasn't there. So it really kind of bothered me, but then we left again for that next shift. I was excited to get back underground because you'd built up some of the muscle to be able to work that. Yeah. Because it's a lot of work. It's intense work. You're hand drilling, and your drill weighs 160 pounds. You got to manhandle that damn thing for 10 hours. So to get back in, then I was really getting after it. So by time I'd hit shift 21, I did what they called cycling a heading. When you're driving a tunnel, if you will, they call it a heading because that's the direction you're heading, like a compass. Sure. You have guys down there, heading you in different directions. And the sides of the tunnel is like you're inside an animal. You got the ribs as the sides, and you got the back as the top. And so I walked in there, and they had just blasted the shift before. So I had to muck it out with the loader, support the ground, drill my round, and blast it, do a full cycle. Okay. I cycled my heading in that 10-hour shift, which is a really big deal. And so when I was done with that, my pop, he's walking around with his arm around me. The other miners are clapping, and they say, "Hey, you popped a cherry, kid." And they took me out, and it was on a different shift, so it was still days, and the big boss was still on site. So I went upstairs, and they took me into his office, and he goes, "I heard you cycled a heading." And he sat me down, and he goes, "I've been doing this for 45 years, and he goes, I've never seen a man cycle a heading in less than 6 months experience. You did it in 21 days. Yeah. So his congratulations, you're a miner, and then him and my dad kept talking about it, and it was a big damn deal to me. Sure. And it wasn't long after that, my dad referred to me as his partner. Underground to the general mine superintendent, and to me that was, I couldn't have gotten better in life than being referred as that, because I'd heard about the guys all my life that he called his partner. And to be at that pinnacle was a big deal for me. Well, then they shut down the project. Okay. And I was one of the youngest guys on there, so they let me go. So I came back to Arizona, and I figured I got a resume that's awesome, right? Heavy equipment, truck driving, mining,
You're
welding.
how old now? Give me
23.
20s, okay. So
I've done a lot of things, welding, mining, the cattle ranch, truck driving, running heavy equipment, hundreds of hours on equipment, the track hose and all that kind of stuff. And I couldn't find a job to save my ass. I applied everywhere, and it kept going into a lower grade job, till finally I went to a landscape company in Phoenix and tried to get a $10 an hour truck driving job to have a landscape rock. Wow. And they said I was overqualified, like everybody else did. Yeah. So I left there just feeling really shitty, kind of broken. I walk out to my truck, and tears are actually running down my cheeks because I'm out of money. Completely out of money. My wife had a breast tumor. She was 21, and we had to pay out of pocket to get that handled because the insurance was claiming it was pre-existing, even though I'd always had insurance. So I had to fight that battle, and that out of pocket took all my savings. So as I'm leaving there and I'm driving down the street to go pick up diapers for my son, because we had a coupon to get diapers, but we didn't have money for diapers, my gas light pops on in my truck. So I'm like, now I got this. Yeah. As I'm driving to the grocery store, I pulled up to the gas pump, and I ran my debit card. I got a decline. So I couldn't get fuel. So I started rummaging through the truck. I found some quarters and some dimes and nickels, and I started walking in that parking lot. And about 2 hours later, I found enough change to get 2 gallons of gas. Now that was back when it was 89 cents a gallon, right? For the cheap stuff. If it was today, I'd have been there for like 2-3 days. Because nobody even carries change anymore. Yeah. So then I go into the store, I find the corresponding diapers, and I'm walking out, I recognize the face. And the guy happened to be the same individual that did all the scheduling work and the dispatching for a company I dug swimming pools for years before. So he asked me how things were, and I explained what I just explained to you. And he goes, hey, I got a client just gave me a gift certificate to Red Lobster. Let me take you and your wife to dinner. So Red Lobster in Mesa, Arizona, the next night we went to dinner and he told me all about the mortgage industry. He slid me the business card for a broker shop. So I cleaned up, cut a foot off of my hair, shaved, and my mom bought me clothes.
Wow.
And I went to this mortgage broker shop and they put me on as a telemarketer that weekend.
Okay.
And miserable. Just effing miserable doing telemarketer work. I don't know if you've ever done it, but that just sucks shit. So, but then I started getting good at it. I developed these leads and I convinced them to let me work some of the leads.
Okay.
And that's where it started. And I remember the one thing that's carried me through it, there's been a lot of ups and downs.
Mortgage is one of those
business.
Industries that goes up, down, up, down.
Oh,
right? It
yeah.
has some high moments, but then some lows too, right?
Yeah, in fact, I worked for Countrywide 9 years, and I remember Angelo Mazzillo saying, he goes, you'll make a fortune in 5 years, and then you'll spend the next 5 years paying it back.
Yeah.
Because that's just the swings. Well, when I started about a year in there, I started really kind of getting my footing underneath me, and that same branch manager, now, he'd started in the industry, and then he started managing the branch. He was only 26 years old. I didn't realize how young he was, because he seemed much more mature. Well, he told me one time, he goes, there'll come a day that you'll be in the top 1% of this business. I'm like, cool. And I didn't know what that meant. I don't know what the top 1% meant. Well, but that carried me through things. And then you look back on that guy, 26 years old, he didn't have maybe 4 years experience in the industry. He wasn't an originator, he was a branch manager, right? He understood systems and processes, and he's no longer in the industry. He's in a different side of, I think he's entitled now or something, I can't remember. But his statement, even though many could argue he didn't have the credentials to offer a statement like that, helped me stay fueled and stay in it through all the shit that's happened. I've restarted, I don't know how many times in this industry, to where I am now, which is now I'm in the top 10% of 1% of the nation in my field. But from there, it kept going through different stages of the industry. 2008 happens, right? And I was kicking ass. I had a great team. Got in a motorcycle accident in 2008 that put me in a wheelchair. Had memory loss. I couldn't remember past 3 minutes.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I think there's a unique story there on the motorcycle side of the date, and then kind of how they all play together, and has really kind of from that day forward been always a part of your story of who Aaron Chapman is, right?
Oh yeah.
Kind of those dates there. So first, give me the dates of when the motorcycle wreck happened.
August 8th, 2008.
So it's
and
8,
my lucky
8,
number's
8.
been 8 even long before that.
Yeah. So your number
based on
that
some anatomical situation
that you picked was 8, right, in life, and then 888, you get this major motorcycle accident.
Correct.
And what all do you break in this accident?
Both my legs were shattered.
Okay.
Collapsed lung, a bunch of broken ribs, and when I flipped, because I used to race mountain bikes, so instinctively when I would wreck, you always just tuck and roll, right? And so that's what I did. I tucked and I rolled, and I took all the impact here on the shoulder.
Okay.
And the head. So second time in my life I wore a helmet on the street, and it shattered my collarbone. You can see it just went down, just snapping ribs, bap, 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 right? So you got this massive contusion on my back. No, I don't know if you've been to Arizona in August.
Yeah.
So this is 12:24 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
On the freeway, 80 plus miles an hour, and when I skidded to a stop, I laid there just right before an exit, so they couldn't come on to get me that way. They had to go up the exit the other way and come this way, and there was a ton of traffic because it was a 3-day weekend. So a lot of traffic blocking them, and I laid there and baked. So the rest of the injuries was just the body. You got the road rash and the baking.
The burning, yeah.
I just remember waking up in the hospital. I remember 2 things, right? So I remember waking up and I'm looking at the fluorescent lights on the ceiling at midnight. But then the next memory that came back was 2 guys holding me down, so another guy Capri Suns me with that straw up the utensil. For some reason, that pain I remember. And then the memories kind of come in and out. I was on a morphine drip, and I get a lot of stories from people of shit that I was saying, because I'm already kind of filterless to an extent. There's certain things I don't say because I know my kids might be watching, but then there's being semi-filterless and having morphine on board all the time. So the shit that was going on and trying to get my wife hooked up with the nurses and stuff, it was, from what I understand,
So
a lot of stories to be told.
You were trying to pitch that in the hospital room.
They had a lot of smoking nurses there.
Yeah.
That was just one of those places.
I'm sure your wife was totally happy about that.
She's a nurse now, so there's something happened, right?
You closed the deal somehow there.
Somehow it worked. She's a charge nurse at actually the hospital in Arizona has the most COVID in the state.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you, on that topic, out of the blue, what's your thoughts on COVID? You think it's real, fake? You think it's overblown, out of proportion?
I don't think it's overblown, just because of the environment we're living in right now in Arizona, where it's just so saturated. My mother just came off of a ventilator 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So when you watch, you question it at first, right? It's like
sure.
it's a very convenient thing when we're talking about the division that we have in our country between two stupid ass parties, and one guy by himself raising hell, and you got all these other idiots that are bitching about him. Then it's convenient that we have a shithead candidate on one side that doesn't have to appear anywhere for his campaign. He can campaign from his basement.
Yeah.
Because of the risk of this COVID thing. It's just, it's hard to say this not convenient.
A lot
it's
of
hard
red
to
flags
say
go up, right?
A lot of it goes up, but then of course there's the reality of it that people are dying from it.
Yeah, you look at that side of it, right?
My wife swims in it all damn every day. My daughter's had it. She was down. I've got my head of operations right now has it at work, and that's affecting us. My mom being on a ventilator for a week, being put out completely out cold.
Yeah.
And my wife giving me the stories of people at her hospital that are serving people, helping people, and them coming down and dying. It's real.
Yeah.
I mean, there's casualties of war right now of this, and we know it's a fabricated virus. That's, of course, everybody's saying that out there. And the fact that there's somebody or a group of people that can put something intentionally into the world for whatever purpose is damn sickening to me, and I would love it. I would absolutely love if they would figure out who that is, put them in 10 by 10 room and give me 15 minutes.
That's all you need, 15?
That's all I want, 15 fucking minutes.
Obviously, it's a real, because you see these cases happening. You see the death that's taking place, right?
I'm watching it happen in my life. It's affecting my world. I mean, personally, right there, I'm seeing people in my life get touched by it.
Should we shut down more, shut down less? Now we're hitting the second wave of it.
You know, I think as far as the shut down more, shut down less, I think that we should be open. You know, so again, and listen to me hear me out on this. Open, but people need to be smarter about what they're doing. I hate the mask as much as anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what my face, I put that thing out, looks like a bikini from the 70s. There's just shit sticking out everywhere, right? And then my beard gets all cut up. I look like an idiot when it's done. I finally take it off. Like, man, now I gotta wash it just to get the kinks out of it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just, it's frustrating to wear, but I understand the need for it because it's not about me, it's about the people that are out there.
Right.
And if we could smarten up as a society on ways to prevent this, and also, I really believe, I mean, a lot of people hate the whole thought of build the wall and all that crap. No, build the damn thing, protect what we have, and keep a lot of the extra shit out. I mean, there's a lot of things we didn't have in this country because we were able to eradicate it, you know, through treatments and whatever else. So yeah, I think we should open up, get the commerce back going. People are going to die from not having the ability to provide for themselves, just like what we're going to have as far as the deaths from COVID. And I think if we're just smart enough to protect ourselves, wash our damn hands, you know, quit licking each other, we'd probably be fine.
There's some great one-liners you got, man. You may be the best one-liner guy I've ever had on the show so far. With the you mentioned there on a different topic, because you're down in Arizona now.
Correct.
And you just mentioned build the damn wall. What's your thoughts on that one?
It's amazing to me that we as a country can have large groups of people bitching about trying to block illegal activity into it, where there's not another country on this damn planet that doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Everybody else, for some reason, is allowed to do it, and it's perfectly fine. But we're asshole Americans if we're to keep our borders secure. Right. I don't understand the problem. I have zero way of understanding why is it okay, and what does it benefit us to keep it open? Right. You know, there's legal ways to get in here. My family, we're all immigrants. Every single one of us are immigrants. There's not a single person here. Right. You know, even the Native Americans were immigrants at one point. You know, everybody came here from somewhere. So for shit's sake, allow the people that want to come in here, make it, put them through the process. There is a process that's always existed. If we have to adjust the process, fine, adjust the damn process, but make them go through it. Make them appreciate what they got. I've never appreciated a damn thing I was given. Right. I appreciated everything I've busted my ass off to earn. Yeah, so, and I think of citizenship in a country, and if I want to go become a Frenchman, but God forbid me becoming French. Yeah, I would love to see that. Yeah, I'm sure everybody would love to see that. I would walk on my damn toes and shit like that. But if I wanted to do that, then I should have to go through a process to do that.
I don't understand the argument of not having one. I cannot understand even the concept of not having one. And part of the argument they always say is like, well, it's not going to stop everybody from coming in. Agreed, but
Then why
it
you
sure
bitch
as
about
hell
having it?
slows everybody down from coming in. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
like,
and it's not just the wall. I think that we have people coming over from a war that I think is just, it's insane that we're still fighting all this crap over there in the Middle East. But we have people coming back and trying to integrate back into society.
Right.
It's not that hard to drop them on the border and let them just slowly integrate back in
Yeah.
while the trigger finger is still warm.
Yeah.
Right. And if you run a few A-10s across that border several times a day, believe me, people will stop coming if they don't have malicious intent. Mm-hmm. If there's somebody who have malicious intent and they're still coming, then they deserve what they're going to get at that point. You know, figure out the ways to move the people that need to come here. I get that we need people that to serve a certain part of the population. Mm-hmm. There's jobs that will be done by people that will come in here that are not being done right now by people who are not coming in here. Well, there's a way to do it.
Right.
So do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't look down on anybody that's coming. I don't give a crap what color, what thought process you have. You're liberal, if you're a conservative. I like people. I love the ideas that people bring.
Yeah.
I like that a person can come in here with a backpack on their back and work their way in through our legal system and then create something that we've never seen before or enhance something we've never seen before. You know, if we're that closed-minded that we won't let people come in and contribute to our society, then we should have a downfall.
Right.
But we also need to be sure that we protect what we have.
Yeah, have a system for them getting in here.
Yeah, because what's going on down there with south of the border is some scary shit.
Yeah, that's what I was asking you, because I always like to talk to people that's close to whatever's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And being in Arizona, that's at least a border state down, close to it. And what is the overall feel in Arizona about it?
Oh, they want it.
They do want it?
It depends upon where you're at. You get down to like Tucson and stuff like that, I think it's a little bit different feeling, but the Arizona people from what I socialize with want it. You know, I did rescue for the sheriff's office. So in the sheriff's office, you get to work with a lot of the deputies that are affected by that. And there were certain places we'd have to go. And we would have Air Force Blackhawks in the air. We'd have DPS helicopters above us. We were fully armed. We had fully armed escorts to be able to conduct a rescue in a specific area, and we're only talking 20 miles from Phoenix.
So you're still in Arizona. Mm-hmm. Sounds like you're just describing a Middle Eastern situation there.
You would think so. There's actual, from what I understand, I haven't personally seen them, that they actually have outposts all along Arizona in certain parts of certain counties because it's a drug corridor. Mm-hmm. Has stuff running through there, so they have military out there keeping an eye on these things.
Wow.
They have special operations teams within the sheriff's departments. And there was one time our team got deployed, so they found a body out just literally south of I-8, which would take you to San Diego. Yeah. Right. So they found a body. Our team was deployed to find the head.
To find the head of the body.
Exactly. So there was some time that some of our deputies that are part of our rescue unit that stumbled across a cartel sniper hide. You know, the guy, the food, he was cooking his lunch. The food was still warm. He left spotting scope, binoculars, and some other equipment there. He grabbed his gun and split.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's all happening right there, and people don't get it. That
you don't really see a lot of that in the news, soil. Right?
Yeah, we got massive human trafficking going on right there. We've got massive drug running going on right there, and it's happening in a significant way. There's a highway going right through the desert, and people don't get it.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's amazing. I love talking to people that are there because I think they have a different viewpoint from wherever I'm at. I live in Florida, and certain things we don't see, right? And I was talking to a couple guys from Texas recently, and same thing, like getting their understanding and being a part of it. It always provides a unique ability there. Talk to me about this rescue thing, because I was doing research on you, and this is part of your life, is this rescue with police department that you guys go in and rescue, and then that also ties into kind of this show that you're kind of creating, at least part of it to a certain degree. What's going on with the rescue there?
So before my accident in 2008, I was a runner, mountain climber, and me and a buddy of mine who's now a firefighter, he was a firefighter then too, we'd find some trail or some mountain to climb and we'd figure out what was the average time we had to cut it in half. Okay. We were very interested in doing that. We'd go to like Mount Whitney in Central California. And we didn't have elevation to train at. We're in Arizona. I mean, it's 1,100 feet. So what we started doing is we would go running at 118 degree weather with no water, set the water every 4 miles or something like that. And we'd run 16 miles in the heat just to stress our body out and wear ourselves out and push hard. So we get there, we just trekking up this mountain. We're seeing guys that trained in higher elevations, like Tahoe and stuff like that, and we just kicked their ass. And like, what elevation do you train? I'm like 1,100 feet. But what have you been eating? I'm like, I'm eating Snickers and drinking Coke, and we're hauling ass up this thing, right? Well, I loved doing that. And then I
Yeah.
got in this accident and I had my legs taken from me. I had my ability to do all those things taken from me. And as I got myself back to where I could do those things again, I stumbled across the opportunity, at least it was presented to me, to do the sheriff's department thing. It was a volunteer rescue unit. And so I checked it out and I thought, well, God gave me my legs back.
Okay.
And I used them for selfish purposes before. Now I want to use them for a different purpose. And it was painful because I still had, I still had hardware in my legs. And so I pushed to go out there and do these things. And I went to learn everything I possibly could. So I became a wilderness EMT. I took the climbing skills that I developed and turned it into rope rescue skills. And then the off-road, the times I spent in high school wheeling all the time during school, and nobody knew I was out there, and turned that into, I was headed up their first off-road rescue unit with that team. And then I got put on the air rescue unit where you fly in, you rappel out of a helicopter, package a person up and hook them, and they yank us out. Things like that. And it became really, really cool. I had a blast doing it. So I led teams and my wife was part of it, and we were doing it together. And we were kind of, it felt like kind of like we were running the team, but we had some great members of the team with us that were helping us do this. And it was just really cool until it got to a point where it became political. It got to where there's certain guys on the team that were able to go out and do stuff that shouldn't have been out there because of the relationship with some of the paid guys with the department. And to me, I felt it was getting kind of dangerous. And speaking with my attorney, he was of the mindset, said, listen, you're responsible for training these people.
Right.
And if somebody's out there that they say you trained, that dicks the dog out here and messes something up, somebody gets hurt, they could come back and come after you.
Let me repeat that. Dicks the dog. I don't think I've ever heard of that one before.
It's a little screw in the pooch kind of thing, right?
You got this is some great one-liners, man. Dick's the dog. So if they dick the dog, then they're
dicking the dog, and then I'm the
hook.
one, and they got pictures of him with his dick in a dog. Guess what? They're like, well, where'd you get trained in court?
Yeah, Aaron Chapman.
Aaron Chapman is like,
could you imagine?
Yeah, they pull you in. So you're supposed to be, because I have all these certifications, and all you're doing is teaching this guy how to ram pooches, right? And so that situation, if it would come up, I could be legally liable. So I had to really think about that. And then it was also just, there were some other frustrations. And while I was out of town, my wife was at one of the meetings with the board, and I was board president 1 year, and we're both still on the board. And she just said, hey, we're out. And she got really emotional with it. And I really wished I was there when she decided to do that and not pull the trigger like that. But then it was one of those things like, okay, bye. Is kind of how it was. I'm like, wait a minute, I dedicated nearly 10 years of my life and I get an okay bye?
Wow.
I
10 years of volunteer.
10 years of volunteer.
Right.
I was in charge, I probably ran a half a dozen multi-agency rescues, bringing in other agencies. I was in charge of the boots on the ground, out there in the middle of nowhere.
Is this while you're still building your mortgage company?
I was still building the mortgage business, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was 3 weekends a month, man. We dedicated that. And to just get that kind of a send-off, it just told us where the value was.
Let me ask you this, again, just from insight with your past and everything. There's a lot going on right now, obviously, with the news and everything with the police and thin blue line and the controversy that's there. Without going too deep into it, what do you see from the police standpoint, being at least a part of that decade there? What's your viewpoint on that?
Yeah, and I actually did a show, at least a shooting recently, with the chief of police of Jerome, Arizona, and his number one officer, who kind of is his number two in charge. And we kind of have the same conversation, and it just boils down to, there is, like anything, there is the small few shitheads out there that's completely ruining a fair, because I knew a lot of great guys.
Sure.
All the guys that were in the sheriff's department, just really run-of-the-mill cool guys that just enjoyed being out there. They treated people fairly, but if you stepped over a certain line, they had to crack your skull a little bit. They did their job, but there was also assholes in it too, and I just drifted my way away from the assholes. But it's amazing how one asshole can then have an entire movement do like that, burning down. Now, do I disagree with people getting that frustrated with this guy doing what he did? Not at all.
Sure.
In fact, what I do disagree with is the looting and going after businesses and all that kind of stuff. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Am I going to say anything negative about burning down the police station over there in Minnesota? A little bit, but at the same time, bastards deserve it to let that prick be on the force for that long, because it wasn't
like 8 minutes or 12 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, 8 minutes with him with his knee on him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's not the first time that guy did that. And that guy was a supervisor.
Yeah.
That guy had complaints against him before. Every cop I talked to, they have the same thing to say that I have to say about that kind of guy. So it's like me in the mortgage industry. One of the best things about the mortgage industry for me, is, well, let me back up a little bit. We as humans are the apex predator, right? We don't fall prey to any other species except other humans. So if you look at the mortgage industry, it's full of a lot of predators. They don't give a damn about that person getting the loan. Just close your damn loan so I can get paid. That's what they want. That's why I believe my business partially thrives is because I have a lot of predators in the business.
Right.
And people, they can smell that. And so I'm genuinely concerned with that client and their real estate investment, and that gives me a little bit of an edge on the guy who just wants them to close. Well, in the same respect, when you're talking about cops, there's probably a shit ton of guys out there that spent their high school years getting their ass kicked. Now they're going to show that I'm the man, and it comes back on them. And I think that until they weed that out and stomp that out, people aren't going to take that shit anymore. And now they have been given license to not take that shit anymore. It's just a shame we're going about the way that we are. It's a shame that you've got people thinking that they've got to go and trash police cars and shit on the hoods and stuff like that. Because it's my tax dollars paying for it. But we got a bunch of people out there that have never paid taxes in their damn life, and they're out there causing all this havoc.
Because like you said, in every industry, no matter what you choose, doesn't matter, you'll always find, I'm going to use your words here, that shithead in every industry, right? And when you were talking, I was thinking of Bernie Madoff and the crap that he did, right? Well, it doesn't mean all investing for that type of investors or hedge fund are bad. But obviously that was one shithead in the industry that ruined it for a lot of freaking people, right? And not just the people that he took the money from, but also other financial advisors.
Well, the people now have to crawl up from that particular stigma.
Yeah, exactly, right? And it's like, well, I don't want to put money with you. And because of what happened way over here from one guy. And it's like that in every industry, including the police and so forth. And then how much that affects the whole industry that takes place there.
Well, everybody's perception of cops. Because of that. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm not the biggest fan of a cop when he's on the other side of my driver's side window, right? But I also, when you realize it's a human, and you have a human conversation with him, treat him with respect, I've gotten along with every single one of them. I've only had one that I had really a difficult time with. He rolls up on his motorcycle, I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah, motorcycle cop. You already know.
You already know, right? The motorcycle.
You already have a stigma, and the stigma is true, right? And then he comes up, and I've got my hands on a thing, and I hand him my concealed weapons permit and my license. He goes, oh, you have a gun? I said, yes. He goes, where is it? And I say, it's right here. And he goes, you need to get out of the vehicle. He takes it off of me, and then he disassembles the damn thing. Puts it into 5 different baggies, sets it all around my vehicle in different spots, and then does the full ticketing thing. And then it's okay, when I get to such and such down the road, you can get out and start putting your gun together. I'm like,
the hell?
Are you kidding me?
That's weird.
And so that was the one that really just. But all the other times, I give him a concealed weapons permit. I have a conversation about guns. In fact, I got pulled over in Ohio driving a buddy of mine. I met him in, where was I at? We were in Indiana. So I flew into Chicago to have a meeting there, and then I said, hey, I'm going to go on tour and see all the people that I do business with. So I drove over to Davenport. I rented a car, drove to Davenport, and then from Davenport went on to Indiana, over to Indianapolis. And one of the guys I do business with there shows up to my hotel, and he hands me a little case. I'm like, what's this? He goes, well, open it up. It was a Glock 19. I was like, what's this for? He goes, you flew into Chicago, right? And he goes, yeah. And he was like, you don't have one with you, right? And I was like, no. He goes, that's yours. And he literally gave me a Glock. He goes, because I know you're driving to Memphis. So I'm driving through Ohio. I get pulled over by a state trooper, and I had one of those Suburbans that I rented, so I pushed the little button, it raised up the screen, I put it in there and closed it. And I handed him my concealed weapon permit anyway. He goes, oh, do you have one with you? I said, I have it stashed in here. He goes, do you mind? I said, no, here, do you mind? I said, I can push the button. So I pushed it, put my hands back, and he reached it, he goes, shit, I just bought one of these. He goes, let me go just check on your license real quick. He goes, I'm just gonna take the rounds, I'll set up it here. He's like, cool. I was like, sure. He goes, I'll run back. And he comes back and climbs in the car, and we just sat there and shot the shit. All about guns. So when you find common ground with somebody, I don't give a damn what they do. Just become human with people. This thing when people treat cops because they pulled you over like an asshole, we'll expect them to treat you like an asshole. You know, we I guess in a way tell people how they should interact with us.
Oh yeah, in anything. It doesn't matter if you're ordering food, it's the same thing, right? You treat a waitress or a waiter a certain way, the way you treat them is kind of what you're saying. You can treat me back the same way, to a certain degree, right? Let me ask you this:
it's a mirroring thing, like David Sandler says.
I'm a concealed carry permit as well. What do you carry?
Right now, I carry an 43X.
A 43X right now?
Have you picked that one up?
No.
So you got the Glock 43. Is that little tiny sumbitch? Well, the 43X, somebody makes a mag that'll hold 15 rounds.
Okay.
The same size as the 43. So it's a great little gun.
Interesting, man. You have it on you here?
Not with me here, just because with that damn thing and this arm, I didn't want to have to deal with. I was already going to the damn airport at 4 a.m. This is one of the few times I'm like, I am not going to deal with having to do all that show. Try and go through that. Plus deal with the COVID crap and all the locks.
And the mask.
I've only got one damn arm.
When I travel, especially I have buddies like you probably with business all around the nation. And a lot of times whenever I travel, I will do the same thing. I'll go get a gun. I just enjoy having it on me, near me.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like part of my life, if you will. I enjoy it a lot.
Well, I figured if I'm in a situation where I need it, I'm going to beat the shit out of that sumbitch. I'm taking his from him. Even if I got to go one armed. I'm kicking, screaming. It won't be long. If I have to, I'm going to, whatever I got to do.
Let me jump into a little fun thing I want to do here with you. And I want to talk about your mortgage business.
Cool.
We come back from here, and I want to talk about what you offer. I know you work with a lot of investors all across the nation.
Almost all investors, really, about 99% anymore.
I want to talk about that when we come back here. But let me ask you a couple questions here. I call this Chapman's favorites. So let me ask you some questions of what some of your favorite things are.
Research my favorite? Oh, okay.
So so I'm going to ask you some of your favorite things are here. You tell me what you think. Do you have a favorite podcast that you listen to?
It would have to be Andy Frisella's podcast. And the thing is, I don't listen to it very often, but I do listen to it. When I do, I go to his first.
Are you a big podcast guy or no?
Not really. I've been a guest on over 100. But I listen to him here and there. It's just something I'm constantly. I got a damn earbud in my ear listening to somebody talk to me about mortgages, so I don't have time to do podcasts.
I got you. Okay. Is a light one, easy one for you? What's your favorite holiday?
I actually don't have one.
You don't have one?
I'm not a big holiday guy.
At all? And you have four children,
I have 4 kids, and it is kicking and screaming for me to put up a damn tree. Because my mom and sister loved Christmas, so it was a big thing. The day after Thanksgiving, shit's coming out, and it was me and Dad on the roof, stapling, because my brothers would disappear. And it's like, I got my fill.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just not a holiday guy at
all.
Not
a big holiday guy?
None of them.
Really? Maybe you won't have an answer for this one either then. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
It would still have to be Christmas Vacation, just because that's high school.
Yeah.
I remember that came out. We watched it in history class.
Oh,
when it first came out, I got to watch
one of the rare
class.
classes you attended at the time.
I happened to be there that day.
Yeah. That is an all-time great one, man. What's your favorite beard care product?
That would be Grave Before Shave.
Before Shave.
That is the bourbon blend.
Bourbon blend that you use. How long have you been growing it out for?
So I woke up in the hospital with it, because I couldn't grow one, and it literally tore up that side of my face, and all of a sudden it filled in. So I decided I would not, and that was 2008, I wouldn't shave or trim it till I learned how to walk again. So I got about yay long, and then I kept it about there. I went back to a goatee for a little while, then I said, no, I'm going back to the beard. And then, I don't know if you know Ron Phillips. He did a lot of turnkey investment stuff. He was here, and then he went on to, I think, South Carolina. Well, I was at a mastermind where he was there, and he had, shaved head and a beard, and he goes, he sees me, he goes, my beard was longer than yours yesterday. And I was like, my beard was longer than mine yesterday. I was like, then I said, next time I see you, mine will be a hell of a lot longer than yours. I will not have shaved or not have trimmed. I have yet to see him. That was 4 years ago.
So you gotta get to see him.
So it's to me now. It's a symbol of me basically living by my word.
Yeah.
I told him I am not going to trim till I see him again, and I'm living up to that word now. Eventually, I'm going to step on this bitch if I don't get him face to face sometime. But so that's really why it's as long as it is now. It's become part of the brand.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Do you think there's a persona with it? Without it, was it different without it, or in the mortgage industry?
Well, it's definitely different without it. It was different without it, because when I walked into the mortgage industry, clean face, 23 years old, I could talk to people on the phone after I really kind of understood. Then I remember I'm sitting in there in the conference room meeting with somebody, and then somebody comes into the office, into the front lobby there, and then she leaves, and I see the manager go back out and whatever, and he brings her and goes into a different office. And I come out, and I was like, I was late for my appointment. I went to the secretary and I said, hey, so-and-so's supposed to be here. And she goes, oh, she's in with Scott. I'm like, in with Scott? What happened? She goes, well, let Scott tell you. And then Scott walks her out, and Scott comes to me, and he says, and that was my branch manager, who's only 4 years older than me, or 3 years older than me, but just seemed more mature. He goes, she came in and said, I have an appointment with Aaron Chapman, and they pointed to you in the conference room, like, he's finishing up with somebody, and then we'll have him see you. She goes, she looked at me, she goes, I am not trusting my future to a kid, and left.
Okay.
Scott ran her down, and he took the deal. He goes, listen, I'll close it, you get paid. So I realized that the clean shaven thing was not working because I really, really, really look young when I'm clean shaven. So I grew the goatee, and that worked for a long time. And then the beard kind of came along. Well, one, because I could grow one now.
Sure.
Because it pissed me off I couldn't. Well, then I remember I was out to dinner with a buddy of mine who owns a large insurance firm and a large wealth management firm, and I was doing okay. I was doing maybe 10 to 12 transactions a month, working my ass off. He's really wealthy, does very well, and we're walking down the street with our wives in front of us talking. He puts his arm around me. He goes, "Dude, I'm going to make you successful." I'm like, "How's that?" He goes, I'm going to make sure that my marketing team markets you to the entire real estate industry in Arizona. We're going to blow your business up.
Okay.
So I want you to be part of my group." I was like, "Jack, I don't know what to say." He goes, "Just one thing." He goes, "Well," I said, "Anything." Because you got to conform more. I'm like, what the hell does that mean, right? Because at the time I'd wear black pants, black shirt, my beard was trimmed, and I was still me, but I was hidden behind all that stuff. I said, "What do you mean conform more?" He goes, "Suits, you got to shave." I'm like, "So I got to look like you?" He goes, he says, "That's our brand."
Yeah.
"So if you're gonna be part of this brand, yeah, that's our brand." And I had to think for a second. I said, "Jack, I love you, man, and I appreciate that, but fuck you." And he was like, "What?" And then I realized, I said, that was a true friend, because he showed me I was straddling this line. I would step on one side of the line to try and conform with the slacks and the black shirt and at least trimming.
Sure.
But then I'd step on the other side of the line with, I still look like a biker going for his hearing, right? So I was trying to straddle this line, and I decided, well, hell with it. I'm not going to be sailing on his fleet. I'm just going to climb off. I'm going to go to the jungle. I'm grabbing my machete. I'm going to carve my way wherever my success is. And that's where I dumped all the other crap.
Yeah.
So I put on my Dickies shirt, my jeans, got my boots, put the goofy band on the watch.
Yeah.
And I decided I'm going my way. And then the hat evolved.
Right.
And then evolved
Which
with
is a whole nother. I'm gonna get into that in just a second.
whole other reason that came
Yeah,
around,
I'm gonna
right?
get into that with you. But the thing about you is that this is true to you. I mean, I know that you have sat down with United States senators in Washington D.C. And you were the exact same thing.
Well, to get in there, I still had to put on the suit. So
Okay.
I got fitted for a damn suit. And it's like, I'm going to go looking for a damn suit. Where do you get suits, right? And Jack starts, and I even called Jack. Here's where I go. So I went and I had one tailored. I had a suit done, and I showed up just for the meetings there. I walked all around Washington looking like this. And then when I went in for the meetings, I'm going with Eddie, I put on a damn suit because freaking Eddie. And
he's a suit guy.
Yeah, exactly. All these suits are showing up, and I wanted to be kind of taken seriously in there. But I wanted them to be able to walk in and sit there. Got the braided beard and what. So I was still me, but I'm sitting here in a black suit with a black shirt and I don't think I had a tie though. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't have a tie. No, I tie this damn thing. That's good enough, right? So black shirt, black suit, black boots, and I sat in there, and I had a blast.
Sure.
I had a blast in there sitting with senators and Maxine Waters, chief of staff.
Oh, really?
And I was blessed to be able to do about probably 40% of the conversation, because once it got to a topic that was unique to me, I just let them have it.
Yeah.
And watching a couple guys squirm in their seats was pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to get into it with you. Let me ask you this. Let me go back to finish this piece up. What's your favorite piece of heavy equipment?
Oh, that would definitely have to be the excavator, Traco. I spent a lot of years on that. I really enjoyed that. Yep.
You've written several books.
Yep.
What's your favorite book you've written so far?
That I've written?
That
Steel
you've written.
Running.
It was what?
Steel Running.
Still Running.
The number 4, the fourth of that little series.
Oh, on the overall objective,
Right
the
there.
initiative. That's your favorite one you've written so far?
Yep.
Awesome. We'll get into that in a little bit. Let me see here. Favorite story from a time of the sheriff office rescue team that you did?
That would have to be, it's kind of a toss-up between a couple of them, but one was a base jumper rescue, where a guy jumped off the front of the mountain, got hung up about 650 feet down.
On a cliff or a side of a mountain, basically?
Yeah, and I got chosen to go down to get him, and I developed a cool relationship with him as a result
afterwards?
of that. Yeah, so that was, of probably 5 really badass stories, that one was really cool, because, how many people get to go down 650 feet?
You're pretty much
on a
saving
cliff?
a life at that point, right?
Oh yeah, he would.
It's creating a bond that's pretty irreplaceable.
Exactly. That guy if there's no chance of rescue, going out to get him, he would have been dead.
Yeah. Interesting.
He should have been dead. There's no reason that guy
lived.
He literally, his chute opened, but then slammed him into the cliff, and he slid down to the only ledge on that entire damn cliff.
Wow.
The only ledge.
And you rappelled down.
Yeah, I was lowered down, because 650 feet of rope to rappel is hard to get up there. So I was lowered on the lowering system. As they're sending me down, I get about 150 feet down, and there is another ledge there because I was coming down a different angle than when he started, and that ledge was covered with cactus and trees and shit. And I don't know if you've been around the trees in Arizona. They're not friendly trees.
Yeah,
they're not like Utah trees
right.
that give you fruit and shit. These ones, they're full of thorns and crap, and I'm getting lowered into it. And I've got the radio. I'm just radioing like crazy, and I wasn't reaching the IC up there, so I'm getting lowered into this tree, and I'm tearing through the tree, flailing, trying to tear through it as the rope keeps coming, right? But I'm getting hung up. And then as I bust through the tree, I fall into the next one, then into the ground, and then ropes piling up on the ground and in the tree. So I'm running to the edge, and it's dark. I can't see shit.
Wow.
Except for the skyline of the city out in the horizon there. I just run to the edge and I just pray it's there. And I look and I just dive off of that thing, because if you get too much rope, then you can't drop. And luckily, I was able to get there fast enough. There's only about a foot. And I got that foot yank, and then I was back at it. And the other part that sucked about it is you're hanging in. You've been rappelling before,
I've been
right?
rappelling,
You've been in a harness. Not comfortable.
No.
Right?
Not for a guy.
So yeah, definitely. And those things, I don't know why it is people didn't build it right. It's built by French people, I think, as well.
French did it.
They like that thing. That's the guys who really started all that stuff. In fact,
was the French?
So I'm hanging there for an hour and a half.
Okay.
My heels on the cliff, and then you get to where you're just hanging in the open, and you're not controlling your speeds. You're just waiting for them to do it. So you're sitting there Indian style. I'm holding myself like this, going down. Finally, I get to where I can see his light and hold him and give him guidance. And the coolest part about that whole rescue, of all of it, I mean, it's kick ass to be, roll into the instant command. The co-pilot seat and fly you up and jump you on. So okay, you're on the sharp end, and they. I heard a voice. Okay. So I see these lights coming up from the base, 50 feet down to the bottom, but I recognized the voice, and it was my wife.
Okay.
So she was being sent up on medical because we didn't know his condition.
Okay. Right.
So she was our lead medic on site, and so she was climbing some really, really shitty ground to get up to us. It was just a miserable climb for them to get to us. Because when you think about the Superstition Mountains, when they come up out of the desert floor, there's all these rocks that peeled off over the thousands of years and built this approach that's steep and nasty and loose and just up. And to hear my wife's voice coming up was really, really cool. So I had signal, so I called, and she's trying to hang on, where she's got this cactus in her frickin' arm. She's hanging on to these rocks to climb up over it, and then her phone's ringing. Yeah. It's like, why the hell's my husband calling me? Yeah. So she's thinking, well, I'm up top running the thing. She's probably guiding her to something. So she answers, I'm like, are you at the base? She goes, yeah. I was like, she goes, where are you? And I said, and I started flashing my light. I said, look for the flashing light. She goes, you're the rescuer? I'm like, hell yeah. I thought that was you. So it was just a cool moment. Yeah. That to have my wife come up to meet me at that. So we got down there, she checked him out, and we hiked out. Hiked him out the whole world. Then you come back down, and there's news media from everywhere. Yeah. So I spent probably a week going back and forth to the desert to do interviews with the news and stuff. It's just a really cool event. Interesting, man. Last two things here. What's your favorite current politician? See, as much as some people are gonna hate me, I gotta say Trump, just because he's doing his shit his way. Do I agree with some of the stupid crap that comes out of his mouth? No. Just the fact that he's going in there from completely the peripheral, nobody expected it. He comes in and he is just an arrogant son of a bitch doing the way he wants to do it. That's what I like about it, guys. That's how I built my business. Right. I built my business going at it my way. I was not successful doing it other people's way. When I started doing it my way, then it started to work. He's definitely a person that has kind of paved his own path, non-presidential style, if you will. And I was talking to a mutual friend, Eddie, a while back, and he was talking about one of the things, because he's big in politics, right? Things he mentioned, he loves the presidential aura, if you will, the polished, professional, so forth. And he said that one thing he doesn't like about Trump is that side of it, because he does his own thing, off the cuff, says things completely different, right? The one thing I really dislike is some of the crap he says completely takes away any validity associated with anybody says, hey, I'm a Trump fan. Like, well, then you're an idiot, because the guy says a lot of stupid crap. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with his has nothing to do with his perspective. That guy went in there and just did it his way, how became successful with it.
Why do you
But when
think?
you're talking politicians in general, I just can't stand politicians at all. I know that they're a necessary evil, but we need to get the bastards out of there for life. They shouldn't be in there for as long as they are.
Yeah,
There should
I'm
be-
a big fan of term.
Yeah.
Term 100% on every level, all the way through it. I hate career politicians.
It makes no sense. That's not a freaking career.
Correct. Is that you're serving your country to a certain degree.
And what it was before. Damn farm and keep working.
And you sacrifice to become a senator and serve your country, if you will.
And if you're doing that, you're doing it for the right reason, which is to help the people around you to get their voice heard.
Right,
Our
right.
voices are not being heard.
Correct.
We're getting screwed.
Yeah.
And I have a big.
Never see you again.
That's one of the other reasons for the book Quit Jerking Off, because that's what they're doing. They're jerking all of us off with their bullshit, and then they get in there, they do it whatever they want for their special interest. I'm really frustrated.
One of the things that always drives me crazy with politicians, I've ever seen this before, like especially the career politicians, where it's like, okay, your average salary came out to be $125,000, whatever the number is, right? It's different levels. $125,000 a year and you've been in there for 30 years, and you're worth $11.5 million.
Yeah.
How the hell does that add up?
Yeah, something doesn't pencil. Just like, our previous president probably didn't have a couple nickels to rub together, and somehow we're $14 million.
Yeah.
You can't tell me it's all book deals.
Yeah.
Because the shit you have to say is not that interesting.
The last one I got for you here is on the faves here is, what's your favorite dead or alive historical figure?
Oh, it's got to be Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
What's the reason
Well,
behind
there's
it?
two. Right?
Okay.
There's two that are dead even, right?
All
So there's
right.
Abraham Lincoln and there's Porter Rockwell.
Porter Rockwell, okay.
Yeah, and so people know about him but ultimately, Lincoln, again, another guy just did it his damn way. When you read the life of Lincoln, that's a life of persistence. That's a man who just did not give up. And I don't know if he's just too damn dumb to give up or he's just that driven.
Yeah.
And so I really look at from birth up until that point,
Right.
everything he stood for. And he was a man that got his gas kicked over and over
Yeah,
and
he did.
over again.
Yeah.
And he kept getting up. And I keep telling everybody, there's this big ominous foot that's out there to kick your ass every day. And it caught him all the time, but he didn't let it stop him.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of respect for a person that doesn't stop. The problem we have is we are full of a society of breastfed bitches that don't know how to get back up.
Breastfed bitches. Wow. Never, I don't think I've heard that one either, man.
Well, and say if we
what
can
does that
get,
mean, breastfed bitches?
well, they're being coddled.
Okay.
They having it handed to them, and if they could ever find a way to pop the tit out of their mouth and try to get their food on their own,
Yeah.
they might figure out exactly how powerful a person they are, because people are very powerful human beings
Right.
if they dig deep and find out where the power is. It's not at the surface.
Yeah.
You got to dig deep to find it, and in there, when you do find it, it's amazing how driven you are.
Yeah.
But if the nipple's right there, why are you going to give it up?
Yeah.
Right, and that's the big problem we have with most people.
Talk to me about, with mortgages, on the same note we were just on, capitalism, socialism, where does that play into when it comes to the financial world that's out there?
Well, when you start throwing capitalism, socialism, everything, it gets to be quite a deep rabbit hole. And I think that just capitalism as a whole, I think, is an absolute necessity. We need to have capitalism. That's what's going to drive a person to, again, there's a fine line where capitalism, depending upon the motivation behind the capitalist driving it, can easily start digging into that particular aspect of it and what they try and control. Fine line there that we're doing. So, and I get with some of the movements we got going on, I don't agree with that, but I also understand kind of the root of where it came from, and not that I'm going to agree with those guys on their methods or their direction. There's a lot of messed up crap there, but there's a fine line with all of it. There's nothing you can ever into and make it 100% good. There's going to be a to it. Socialism, I can't agree with any of it whatsoever. I can agree with people being really, really interested in helping each other. I am very interested in making sure people have what they need. In fact, that's what drives me. So it gets my ass up every single.
We have how many employees now you have?
22.
Yeah.
And if I ever get tired, if I ever get to the point it's like I can't make that next phone call, all I have to do is look at my logo. If you look at the logo, it's got my name and then the last name of everybody on my team. And
That's
the reason
cool,
it's
man.
there is because I need that to remind me, is that they need me to make that phone call.
Yeah.
I could probably exist just fine with about 100 less phone calls a month, and I would do just because it's not that I make a stupid amount of money, but not a stupid amount of money that I can have whatever I want.
Sure.
But I also keep my expenses extremely low, so I can live a lot on a lot less than what I make. But can they? They need to be able to live on what I can generate. If I got to get out there, I shake my ass like I'm late on rent because those people need it.
Like I'm late on rent. That's a good one. I have to remember that one too.
We're always late on rent because it's like what the chief of police out there in Jerome, he has this tattoo on his hand that we talked about on the show. He says, it says, success is never owned, it is rented, and rent is due every day.
Yeah,
and it's true.
It's 100%
and so
true.
I've got to go out there and make that shit clap if I'm going to be sure that I'm going to be successful.
And you say, make that shit clap. Are you referring to your ass?
Shaking my ass, exactly.
All right. Just clarifying for the
I'm
viewers
late,
here. Never late on the rent. I want to talk about your business for a second here. Give the viewers a little bit about what for real estate investors. Do you do regular homeowners investors either?
I used to. So that's where you get started, right?
Okay.
It was all refis. So it started where the guy was doing a lot of advertising. Then you figure out, hey, the pinnacle of business was getting a realtor to work with. Then I started working. Greedy bastard, you know, and so slowly we kind of moved away from that. And then realtor, and she fed me a lot of business. And there was another realtor who was really, really good to me. In fact, would give me a call, and my mom helped me train my mind back. So I'm forever grateful for them as realtors.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't work with them. I refuse.
You don't work with them now?
I don't work with any realtors at all.
Wow.
I'll do some deals for my mom. Some people are realtors that I do business with, but they're not directly realtors out there, you know, putting their glamour shot up from the 1980s.
On the business card.
Yeah, and they got their damn sign on the house. That's not who I work with. So, you know, I do business in 26 states.
Okay.
And how it also really started is I started discovering the real estate investor in 2003. Life will be perfect when I have this house, and you're an asshole if I don't get it because that's my dream, and it's
your fault.
My right as an American to buy something I can't afford.
Yeah.
And they would force you. In northern Arizona, out in the woods, and this realtor and her client call me constantly, busting my balls to get this deal done. I never even had the to move out, moved in, and already rehabbed the house.
No
they
way.
moved walls around, pool fencing, and all this shit. People are sleeping in a van, thinking they were going to close, and these guys didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Figured out, and we got it done. But I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm done with all of you. And so that's when I just cut it off and I focused on the real estate investor, because that's when they were coming into Arizona investment real estate to Florida and then to Missouri. I just kept following them. And eventually as we were building relationships with these people, I was just being real with them. You know, it wasn't this guy calling up like another lender. I was just trying to treat them like they were my friend.
Right.
And I built friendship with these folks. And then all the people I was doing loans for, these investors, were introducing me to the people they're buying from. It's like, you really got to work with that guy, Aaron, because the other people, they're just bankers. Him. So now I'm getting referred. Marco Santarelli's been on the show.
Yeah, Marco's
I do a ton of business with him and his team. They're
great guy.
Great.
Yeah.
There's that have been on this. I don't even know if they've been on the show or not, but the others that do this.
Right.
That were, and so it's because of the relationship that I've got, and it kind of developed to this thing that was just that dominoed out of control. So then I remember one day in 2014, I'm walking into Chipotle to buy lunch for my one employee, Ellen, and the line's all the way out the door. In Arizona, it sucks to stand outside the door.
Or even near the door.
Exactly.
Close.
It's just, because it's
heat,
baking through the sun. I finally get inside and I'm standing. I'm like, shit. I told her I was going to get Chipotle, and I don't want to order.
Okay.
So as I'm waiting in line, I start counting the heads behind the counter. Have you ever counted how many people were behind the counter at a fully staffed Chipotle?
No.
11 heads.
Wow.
You only see the 4 that are you got the one doing the tortilla and your rice and beans. You've got the meat. You got the sauces. And you got that really stingy bitch with the guac, right? So it really pisses me off about the guac because they get the big charge. I'm like, yeah, I get it, and then they hit the damn thing on the side.
Yeah.
Cutting and the manager walking around. It's like if they need 11 people to be successful in burrito construction, what do I need to build intricate financial instruments?
Right.
Like a real estate investment loan. So I started by adding a person in the role doing a loan. So as I built that in my mind, I figured it out in that half hour I stood there in that damn line, and it helped me kind of entertain myself. And then from there, I got an opportunity from a competitor at an event I was speaking at. He suggested we join forces.
Okay.
And which I blew it off until I had to call him to get some help on another loan, which he was always very gracious to give me his time to walk me through deals. He was an older guy that had been doing the investor loans a lot longer. And he said, hey, I'm really serious at the time. So I showed up, they had taken hardware from my leg, so I have a cane. Got this damn, so I look like the shitty chicken plate, a bad wing and a bad leg as I'm walking into these meetings. And it made sense. So we merged our businesses, and I wanted to outwork him as much as I could, so I started getting up. And it's because I wanted to make it perform. I wanted to see this thing blow up. It was the first time in my life I could trust somebody to take the phone calls for the clients and possibly have a vacation. Because I didn't, since I started in the industry. The first vacation I had was being on for however long, and then graduate you to Deloitte. I don't know if I've ever had that shit, but that's absolutely awesome.
Tremendous stuff. You back it.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's 3 times. It's stronger than morphine.
Wow.
It's 3 times stronger than heroin.
Jeez.
And when they hooked me up on that stuff, I'm like, I'm a fan. And so, bring it. But see, and that's why. And then I had to stop. I couldn't go down that path. So. Exactly. We'll get to the. Well, then you get. So I get up to try and harder than he was.
You're a good
he's
partner.
been in it a long time. I want to be a good partner, right? And he already had 12 employees, and I really wanted to make this fly. And I remember going out one night after. We went and stopped at this pub, and we're talking and having dinner, and we got to talking books. I don't read. I didn't read. I thought reading was a waste of time.
Okay.
But he recommended so highly that I bought it right. Some bitch. And then I just started reading it.
I feel like you're leaving maybe a word out of that word. You're saying the word some bitch.
Well, see, it's not necessarily swearing if you
break
it into one word. You got to make it one word. I think the time I heard right?
Yeah.
So you got the Brew for Justice, that's everything's song. And that's where I first heard it. Then I had a girlfriend that was used it one time because of a song. Little boy, same sweet girl type thing. It always talks about her being sweet, but then just doesn't really put him on a pedestal. It's just they're just dumb some bitch and his really cute girlfriend, his beautiful wife. And that's where I kind of started back in high school.
How do you spell it, just so I get your spelling?
Sumbitch.
Okay, all right.
That's how it just kind of comes out. I think it's in the book that way, so that's probably proper.
All right.
It's now become a word.
I interrupt you there in your story.
Perfectly fine. Actually, it's a universal word that, I can't remember what this is called. Well, hand me that sumbitch. My kids have actually gotten to the point where they know what I'm talking about.
So you refer to whatever it is, the remote, as sumbitch.
It's universal.
Yeah.
So you've got that book comes along. The Goal. And I wanted to be able to read it. I almost thought I'd read it. And the only way for me to do that was to get up early.
You're already working.
Yeah, already getting online by 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And dissecting what's going on in our the market. Well, then I read The Goal. And that damn thing, it had systems and processes in it that were just amazing to me, that I was able to figure out, how do I take that and apply it to the mortgage industry? Because it talked about manufacturing. So I was able to use their manufacturing process to apply it to the mortgage industry. And I had him read it, but he didn't want to make any changes. Well, then it got to a point where he was like, well, it's not working. I'm like, how is it not working? You how much we're kicking ass. Now it's Monday and it's not working. Well, eventually it got to a point where he just pulled out. So it was November of 2015.
How long were you partners with him for?
April 2015 to November 2015.
Oh, so
not long at all.
Not long at all.
You didn't give me a chance to even figure out the process yet. And then he's like, hey, it's not working. I think we're better off as competitors. And then what he had the balls to try and do was say, if I deal in, I just keeping all the deal, and I'm still going to get half of what you brought in. It's like, wait a minute, we agreed to put your name on everything just because I trusted you. Now you're pretty much just taking it all. So I started at zero, empty pipeline, empty database, empty everything. I had to start over. So I had 2 employees. Like, bullshit, give me 90 days. It's like, well, I guess we can make it work for 90 days. And they kind of supported, right? And so what I did was I took what I learned from the goal and I applied it. So I sat down with my team and said, listen, that phone's gonna ring. Because I was getting a shit ton of referrals, I just put it under his name. And then when it does, what does that look like? What is our Chipotle construction process? And we figured it out together. And then I took one change to it that I couldn't implement at that time, but I implemented it later. Was in the goal, it talked about a quality control process. This manufacturing system where the guy had these parts going through, and he was trying to figure out why it was this, having a harder time with looking for the frickin' word, but let's just say production. Some bitch wasn't working right. You know, why were they having a hard time? Anybody else doing the exact same production, right? Or the same process? They have the same staff. They've got the same size facilities, same equipment, same robots, same everything, doing everything. He walked the line. He noticed over in this one side of it, there's a pile of finished parts in a recycle pile. It's like, well, what's wrong with the parts? So, well, they all have a flaw in the raw material. Well, how'd you find that out? He goes, well, there's an X-ray during the final QC. We see where the flaw is and we can't ship it. So he requisitioned to have an X-ray put at the front of it. So he has one at the beginning and at the end. Well, of course, the company's like, we're not spending any more damn money. He goes, no, give me 90 days. Let me try it out. So we put an X-ray on the front end. And you know, they kicked off. And that time is gone if it's wasted. So he automatically, I put that into my system. So I took a person that has 30 years experience, then I put an underwriter. Somebody very
normally they're like more towards the very end.
They're at the end. They're the most expensive. They're the most experienced. And the company was having nothing of it. Like, bullshit. You don't take your most experienced person and give them a $1 an hour job. That's an assistant job. Like, no, that's the most important job. Hear me out. Let me try it. A single second on the deal if it wasn't going to go. Because I'm constantly on the phone. I don't have time. I mean, I was trying to do pre-quals, and I'd be up till 2 o'clock in the morning doing pre-quals, building a business. She could do the pre-quals. Now I have 2 underwriters doing the pre-quals, and they're making sure that if it's not going to go, it never even makes its way into the system.
Never touches anybody else's hands.
It may cost me $200 in hours to be able to release a pre-qual letter for the first time, but that's the only expense. If I let that go through all the process, $3,000 gone by getting to the day of, and we tell them the day before closing, it's not going to close like every other asshole in our industry is guilty for. And now you've lost relationships, you've cost yourself money, and you're an asshole.
I was thinking about that. That has to help with your reviews as well. It's going to close, and it never closes.
And it doesn't close. Because somebody is the voice of reason saying, quit being an asshole, cut it off.
And the underwriter becomes very loud.
They can't, you're sacrifice their career so you can save face. And because loan officers are inherently lazy. I know, we don't want to look at that paperwork. I tell all my clients, listen, everything you hate to give me, I read. Just understand that. It's more miserable for me to read your shit than for you to copy it up by far. But we're going to invest time in you with most experienced I can find. One's been doing it since 82. The other's been doing it from 85. Invest time in you, but I need you to invest time in me. And we'll make you successful in your venture if you listen to us.
If someone wanted to get a hold of you for mortgage, maybe they're an investor or they want to look, what's the best way for them to get find you, your mortgage company?
Just go to the website, aaronbchapman.com. Works. I've got that domain. It took me years to get it because some kid had his baseball stats on it for I don't know how damn long. I finally got it, but for some reason it's the carrier that handles that, it worked intermittently. So I just give out aaronbchapman.com. I've had it forever. And if you see a redneck sitting on a porch happens to be my office in Missouri. That's book number 1, the story behind why that came about. Way random shit. But we end up with something awesome as a result. I took a basket of lemonade, scotch.
Now that's your mortgage business, which is booming right now.
Yes.
You're in how many states?
26.
26 states right now.
I think so.
Mainly
look me up on the NMLS to be sure. 267-844. That's my inmate number with the NMLS.
You want me to put that on the bottom there for you?
Yeah. And they can find it on the website. They're going to find our NMLS ID and myself. Because you have to verify that, one, I don't have any
Chapman.
AaronBChapman.com.
We'll put it on the bottom of the screen for everybody as well. You mentioned books, and I know you've written a handful of them. And but you had this new book/initiative that I find extremely. I think everybody probably that hears it finds it extremely, at least, intriguing. Initiative you're working on right now.
It all started with the books. So it all started out that I wrote a book for my kids, 370 pages. I finally got used to the. They read it, her and her number 2. They sat there and they read it, and they called me up and said, "You sitting down?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "Let me just tell you, a lot of great content, but nobody gives a shit." Like, okay. She goes, "Write something somebody gives a shit." Well, how do I do that? So I come up. And like, it's not me. Be assembled by you. It sounds like
their voice, if you will.
Yeah, you paraphrasing what I had to say. So I took it apart and I started rewriting it. And I got about 170 pages in. I realized like I'm having to blend these topics together and it takes a lot out of it. So I told Anna, it's like, well, so I want to go back to the dime novels of the 1800s. So I'm going to take one chapter, one topic. I'm going to dive deep into it for 30 pages or less. We're going to take it, wrap it with a cover, and get it out. Like, yeah, let's try it. And I'm going to come up with some cool covers. Then we got a publisher to bite off on it. And then he tells me, it's like, well, you know, your book's not going to have a spine. You know, we can't put your title on the spine. It's like, dude, it takes balls to go spineless. Let's just get this done. And he's like, okay. So, and they resisted it a bit, but then they went after it. And so now you get those 4. And I'm trying to figure out the series, right? What am I going to start? So a book number called Quit Jerking. And there's a reason behind all that. I was dealing with the whole Washington stuff. And all that stuff. It's like, so we need to come up with the quit jerking off initiative. These bastards out here in Washington that are doing nothing but wasting our time. And that's where it came from. And that's why I changed the instead of the whatever series I was coming out, like what I'm called QJO initiative.
QJO.
So quit jerking off initiative. And then there, you know, having the opportunity to be a guest on a lot, well over 100, there's 50 of them on my website. 50 people keep telling me, get a podcast, start a podcast. I'm like, man, I don't want to have to keep doing that. Then I thought, how could I have fun with that? And that's why I decided to create the YouTube channel, which has podcast style content that we have, but instead it's the Quit Jerking Off initiative, where we have the people in Arizona. You get yourself there and I'll take care of everything else. So you come out there, or in Missouri, either one, come into Arizona, let's say, and we'll take you rock crawling. So we got, and I only have I have 2 Jeeps, mine and my wife's, and they're very capable, but I got to get more than that. In the area, they have Jeeps, and I said, okay, we'll take our Jeeps. You guys become part of it. I own the largest percentage, and they have percentages of it. And now we're going to take people. They'll climb in with you guys. You get to know them as we take them to a place that they are not ready for. And then after about 3-4 hours of watching us drive it, then we'll teach them how to drive over the rocks and do the rock crawling and scare the shit out of them. Then once we've broken down those personal barriers of, man, I'm bitch, right? Well, you get from that to now I'm out of my damned element, and we develop then that night you can sit around the fire and have some really cool conversation, have the cameras going and the drones, and pick up a lot of great data that people won't do when they're lecturing on a podcast.
Yeah.
And so what we found has just been very, very cool. And I've been through the content that we've had to trash, and than I have, because I'm walking around here looking at all you guys' cameras, and G's walking around with that robotic shit chest with his camera. I'm like, I need a picture. I need all the stuff I can get to be able to. Out. So my buddies out there in Jerome, Arizona, who have probably the most proficient tactical rescue team in the country. I worked it out with them to let me bring my guys out there and train them at the firehouse. They were, if you look at our trailer, they're rappelling off the firehouse and stuff in Jerome, and they're learning all the rope rescue techniques so we can take care of ourselves out there, and I can call for a helicopter if I need it, but I want them to be able to handle it. So we're going to work with the fire department doing extrication training on these guys. I've been trained on all that, but I need certified people to train them since I'm no longer in it. So we can be able to, if something, God forbid, happens out, cut them out, get them packaged, and get a helicopter and then get them out.
Yeah, men and women.
Men and women. Yep. So I've got, we're doing some long. Dime from them.
Really? You're just all giving away?
All charity. So one is Veterans Path Up. It's all veterans housing.
Okay.
Another one is the Len Foundation, which is cerebral palsy.
Okay.
The girls that are running the Len Foundation, they're coming down to do long range shooting with scout snipers in November.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that with them and some other business leaders out of Ohio. And then Operation Underground Railroad.
Underground Railroad. Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Is that for trafficking?
Yep, the trafficking thing. So so we're splitting it up into thirds, and it's going to each one of those. And because that human trafficking thing is sickening. I mean, I know that we've got the racial tension within the U.S. History of slavery and all that kind of stuff, but there's real slavery going on right now. Currently, yeah. And I get that there's a history there, and I get that there's some sensitivities there,
Sure.
but by damn it, why can't we put this energy into something that's really happening today? You know, we know it's happening because of what was going on in Arizona. There's human trafficking. Watching for kids that were lost from family camps that were afraid of the worst, right? And then you've got people literally being trafficked into the sex trade. Part of why just quit jerking off exists is because we're dealing with. It's damn sickening.
I want to go back and I want to go talk about the book, Quit Jerking Off, or more or less the initiative. I want to get into title. You actually have, which is when you start to study that and watch documentaries, is like it's hard to watch them.
It's amazing.
It's hard to watch them.
It's amazing to me that there's human beings on this planet that can do that.
Yeah.
Go home to their family.
Like
and live a life like that.
Yeah.
How do you live a family life?
Yeah.
And if you ever watched the movie Operation Toussaint?
No.
So that's I think it's on Amazon, and that has to do with the formation of Operation Underground Railroad. Okay. And you see and they're talking to these guys, and they're all drinking and laughing. The guys are talking about this 10-year-old that he banged the day before or whatever, and showing pictures, and they got a laugh about it, and it helped them. These other guys feel like they're buying into it. Well, you know, inside their guts are turning inside out because they got a 10-year-old back home. Yeah. You know, and I don't know how the hell they do that. And I have like with the police of today, many of them are out there that can be the meanest badass sumbitch on the planet, but also have the most compassion. Exact same moment. Right. You got to be able to tear another in half because he's a dirty sack of shit. And help them. Yeah. So when I see that these guys were able to mentally position themselves to do that, I don't know how the guy didn't just draw a gun and shoot the guy's head off right then. I know it's amazing to me they didn't do that. So anything I can do to try and further that cause, that we've got to somehow figure out a way to. We'll never eradicate that because you'll never eradicate people. Right. But I don't. Do we do public hangings? I don't know. If we could, I'd be like, okay, I want a piano wire. I want it around a very sensitive part of that sumbitch's body, and I want him hanging upside down for the rest of the world to see that we will hang you from your balls. Do this shit.
Yeah.
We got to get back. Be the only thing that does it. I don't know, but I am not against capital punishment when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just the vice groups with the police and so forth deal with it, because I'm not watching it and going through it and
don't have
so
a mental
forth.
breakdown.
Yeah.
To be able to compartmentalize those kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, I get pissed off when a client's an asshole on the phone. I can imagine what it's like.
Have you
to see
seen
this.
Have you seen any of the Jeffrey Epstein
Yes.
documentary stuff that went on? You got any thoughts on that one?
You know, the Epstein was associated with still in positions
Power.
of influence, power in our country, influence over things, and they walk around like this. It's their privilege.
Yeah.
It's their damn privilege, and then they're getting backed up by the people who they're stepping on. You know, what really blows me away is you've got people up there in office that are claiming to be the individual when we know damn well they're not. Know damn well they're friends with Epstein.
Yeah.
That they've done that kind of stuff, and I wish that guy that they were able, that there was honest people protecting him at the time.
You think he committed suicide, or?
Oh, hell no, he didn't commit suicide. There's no way in hell that guy committed suicide.
Yeah.
There's some dirty bastards covering up their shit.
Yeah.
There's laundry going to get aired someday, and unfortunately, we may not be able to know that dirty laundry until that whoever that we have the information on, till they pass causes in his bed, you know, millions of dollars and hookers around him. I have no idea how this is going to go down, but it's frustrating to me that those individuals claim to be representing a certain class, but yet they're taking from them every single day of their life, and that class is feeling like that they're being held up by them when they're not.
I'm hoping that the woman they just information
and I hope
she
they
stays
protect
alive.
Her. Yeah. They need to take all the guys from that Underground Railroad group to get around her and keep her protected.
Yeah.
And get all that data and dump it all, and hopefully she doesn't hold back.
Yeah, hopefully she does that.
Hopefully she just gets all the data. I don't give a damn who it is. If you went in there, it could be anybody that we've talked about and held in any high regard. If they were there, if they were party, benevolent feelings we had for that son of a bitch needs to go away, and that person needs to suffer the consequences that come with their actions.
It's crazy.
Period.
Go back to the initiative. So why did you? What is it really about? Stop jerking off?
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah.
On a phone call with a buddy of mine who also I do a lot of business with out of Chicago, and in our conversation, brought up event he was at, where they had a speaker who talked about how he went from $250,000 a year in revenue to about $2 million in revenue, and talked about all his processes and systems. And people started asking questions
about how he grew from.
Yeah, how'd you get there? What did you do? So he starts talking about his business, talking about his systems.
So he's some mastermind or something.
Exactly. So somebody started probing even further and asking him, you know, what was the catalyst? What made you decide to do X? And he finally said, "Do you guys really want to hear? You guys okay? If we're all adults here, I can tell you." He goes, "I stopped masturbating."
That's what he said.
That's what he people. He tells them he's masturbating. I'm like, wow. I was like, how did the people take it? First they kind of chuckled, and he goes, but then he goes, they got serious.
Yeah.
He said, he goes, is punching the clown and figured out that he was 4 hours a day.
3 or 4 hours a day of.
No, probably.
Wait, let me back up.
Probably
I'm sorry.
not.
Did you say punching the clown?
Punching the clown.
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard that one before. Punching the clown.
But you knew damn well what I was talking about.
Yeah, I knew what you're talking about when you said it. I'm like, punching the clown. Okay. All right, I'll go with it.
So, and I can't imagine it's 4 hours a day, because I mean, you wouldn't feel anything. I think it'd be so chafed up and scabbed over, there's nothing to do. It's spending the time on the internet, because I guess getting more and more desensitized to whatever he's looking at. So it's not like, you know, so then he's looking at whatever, and then finally, you know, I guess Chris Rock explained it best with his problem he had with it. He had a show where he talked about they lost his marriage to it. He just got to the point where it had to be this, you know, each week it changed what was getting him off. So he had to find that one picture, and it took him hours to comb the internet to find it. And then, oh boy, there it is. And you get your job done to go about your business, right? Well, he's basically held prisoner by a vice.
Okay. Right. A drug, else, right?
Yeah, it's just like any other kind of drug. You've got this vice that that you're held to it until you get done what you need to get done. And what's really interesting about that, you can't just go off and rip one off and then go back to your business. You get led into this thing where you have to comb through hours of whatever content to accomplish that. And look at all the time that's wasted. And it's like, is this really true? You know, so brain. I hope it is, because I put that in the internet. You know,
looking for data, facts, something.
Facts about the porn epidemic, and then you stumble across a site called FightTheNewDrug.org, and they had statistics.
FightTheNewDrug.org.
Right.
Okay.
So it had statistics about this, right? And they're talking about the desensitizing of people, and of course how it affects your sex life if you're spending too much time punching the clown, all that kind of stuff. But then it goes into deeper statistics. So Pornhub.
Okay.
It references that site, and how in 2018 over 6 billion hours was logged on porn in 1 year, 2018.
So 1 year, 6 billion hours.
6 billion hours. So then when you start, then they quantify hours. That's 5,000 centuries of time.
What?
5,000 centuries. Think about that.
So 6 billion hours.
6 billion hours.
If you do the math on it, equals how
5,000 centuries of time was lost in 1 year.
What?
So when you think about that the humans have been on the earth several thousand years. So that goes all the way back to caveman days. We're talking Cro-Magnon man here, right? Is when of humankind,
of human life,
wasted in 1 year on one website. That's not Twitter, that's not Facebook, that's not all the other porn sites. That's just one porn site. One site dedicated to porn.
That there were so many hours watching that it equaled basically the human race.
The entire human race in 1 year of productivity is completely wasted.
Wow.
Thinking, okay, so now you got it's absolutely insane. It's
not
everybody
trying
doing
to add that up. That is just like
it's impossible to quantify. We're not the type of human beings that can quantify something like that. So when you consider that's like that's amazing to me that that's what we're dealing with here. What would we be like as a society if we put that kind of energy towards something other than that? I mean, hell, if you just went to the gym and did curls instead of that particular exercise, where would you be at with just your physique? I had to look into it a little bit more, and it just became alarming that what you start to learn about people and the time that's wasted. So then it goes even a little bit further, where we go into Steel Running. The fourth book, I talk about the mind. My supervisor. So he says, I got to do something shitty. I got to fire somebody. I'm like, well, for what? You know, did they? And he says, well, their computer keeps popping up on certain websites. Work hours. My the vice.
Yeah.
When the vice draws you're drawn in no matter what time, right? And so this person's on it during work hours.
Work hours, yeah.
And says to me, he goes, but I got to catch him in the act, because I can't just. He could easily say, if we just went and pulled him in, that, well, I leave my computer on at certain times, I got to go to wherever, and anybody could be doing that. So we got to catch him. Well, about a week later, I called him up and said, hey, talking about stuff, and he seemed to be happy. And I said, well, did you handle that one thing? He goes, no, I didn't have to. It's like, did the guy quit? He goes, no, the police showed up and arrested him. So I said, this is that kind of porn. This is prison-worthy porn we're talking about here.
Whoa.
He goes, yeah. He goes, it was really, really bad stuff.
Holy shit.
I'm like, so a person you don't go to prison-worthy porn, right? You don't. That's not what does it. To this Epstein shit.
Yeah.
That apparently he was involved in, and then he had a wife and young children.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that conversation is like? I felt it was kind of, at that point, this is something I absolutely have to get out there. There's other people
address it.
Yeah, there's other people getting it out there, right?
Sure.
FightTheNewDrug.org. There's numerous talks on this. But it's not reaching everybody. There's not saying anything new. I'm just presenting it from a different perspective. I'm throwing it out from a redneck point of view, right? In fact, I was at an event one time. Somebody said, I got Aaron Chapman here representing the rednecks and the finance industry. And then some gal, her really, really cool gal, she's a dentist down in Alabama. She goes, you ain't no redneck, you're just a shit kicker. And so from then on, that's how.
As a shit kicker?
So I got to take that perspective to try and throw it out there to the world to understand what are you really giving up here. It's not a matter of, the therapy your sister failed to lock the door that one time when you want to do your thing. It's more than that. This is so much opportunity in our life to our vices. And it may not be this, it could be something else.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot of different vices out there. This is just the one vice that really stood out to me, that we humans are being plagued with right now because of the overwhelming availability of it.
Yeah.
In fact, in those statistics, it says that before 10 years old, kids are exposed to extremely hardcore shit.
Wow.
And what type of mental
Damage.
change is that happening? I mean, you probably remember the first porn mag you saw.
Yep, I still
and it was
remember.
definitely not this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
More than just the frontal view, right? Where you actually was going on there. I'm like, I didn't really picture that was what it's going to look like.
When I was in high school, I think internet was kind of just coming out. We didn't have a computer at my house. I remember in high school when one of my buddies had the internet and he printed a picture of like boobs from the internet, you know. And I remember all like low DPI printed, but you still kind of remember, you know, that of how it affected you. I can't imagine what the kids now are seeing though with internet. I mean, we were looking at a pair of boobs that was printed on paper.
Yeah, it's all pixelated.
Yeah, it's all pixelated. You couldn't even really
You
see
actually had
it.
to take your pencil and kind of
outline and what
to
it
make
was
it look
to
like what it's supposed
understand
to be. Or
yeah,
where he was
movie.
watching, you can pick up those channels on the TV.
Yeah.
But they weren't coming in clear, and say,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's
the
a tit."
fuzzy. Yeah, the fuzzy. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I remember the first one I saw. I stumbled across it. I was 7 years old.
Wow.
8 years old. 7 or 8. It was in Wyoming at a park. There was a magazine sitting inside the. You know, remember they had the big tractor tires in the parks. Had the sand in the tractor tire. It was inside the park.
Yeah.
And that was my first exposure to it.
Wow.
And then your mind gets like, okay, well, what is that? And you kind of feel really guilty that you saw it.
Yeah.
After that, you come off of that, then it's like, oh, I want to see it again, right? And then you stumble into some friends that are not the best kind of friends in the world, and they know who it is.
Right.
And then your brother and your buddy's brother are walking the alleyways one night, and they come trunk full of the shit, right? This is me the trash, and next thing you know, you got all this, and they're selling it at school. You know, but that you had to actually go find it. You had to see. You had to get sneaky.
Yeah.
When I was, but now it's just, and the worst of the worst is evident to you. A lot of decisions that we're making in life are driven by the wrong shit.
Right.
And there's a lot of people, a lot of really, really good people have a lot to offer the world that's being stifled because of vice. And anything I can do to help them overcome that vice to the best of my I can't put mittens on them and lock them on there. I mean, you have to figure this shit out on your own.
Yeah.
But at least anything, I'll bring
attention to
some
it
sort of
and
attention.
awareness.
I mean, when we were kids, nobody talked about jerking off as kids.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
That never
I don't
came up.
remember.
You know, nobody. If you even said that, if somebody said that they did, everybody made fun of them. Even though everybody making fun of them is just as guilty, if not 10 times more guilty.
Yeah.
Right. But nowadays, it's just an acceptable practice. I mean, it's
Right.
not going to be long. We're going to have circle jerks at lunch at the school, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Right, but it's anything I can do to stop the stuff before it starts.
If someone want to get a copy, I know you only got 4 out so far.
Yep.
You got 13 total.
Amazon. So you just search for the QJO initiative on Amazon.
QJO initiative,
Yep.
and
And you'll
pop up
find
on
it.
Amazon.
Yeah,
You
so-
have it as well, Aaron B.
They're
Chapman?
not on the site yet.
there?
I'm still trying to get, because I have quitjerkingoff.com, I've got QJOinitiative.com, and they'll eventually, when I get the damn things built, because right now those sites point to me, my mortgage
Okay.
site still, as well as this. Are selling them. Right
Okay.
now, I just noticed Amazon sold out, I think, 3 times.
Wow.
Or now it's, if they go for $7.99 is what my public. If they're more expensive than that, it's because Amazon's out, and I think the
Supply and
book
demand.
3 and 4 right now are out, so you have to go directly to the printer.
Okay.
Go directly to the printer, all of a sudden they're going to make their piece.
Sure.
Well, what? To charities, and you're going to go and put your extra on it. I have a problem with that too.
Yeah.
You're paid to print the damn, and add more to it.
Yeah.
But I don't have control over that. Do the next ones though, I'm not pushing through that publisher. I've started starting my own publishing company to push them through. You know, SGOC Publishing, which I have SGOC Media, and we're going to push it through that because now it's going to be the for-profit. But I'm going to take that and still use it to build the initiative. It's not going.
Gotcha.
I make plenty.
Yeah.
I mean, I always want to make more. Why stupid not? But I want my resources to be able to do more than just make me feel better about me. You know,
Sure.
Again, too much resources, too much wealth. The person needs that. That's just you jerking yourself off in a different way.
Yeah.
In reality.
Aaron, I want to go through last little thing here I want to do with you. Go through rapid fire, and you're quick on your feet.
Well,
And on this stuff. Your vacation, mountain, cabin, or condo on the beach?
Oh, definitely mountain.
Mountain cabin. Rather rappel down a 500-foot cliff or dive with sharks? Really a true chainsaw if it isn't a steel?
Oh, it's not.
It's not a chainsaw, it has to be steel.
Yeah, you're just jerking your time off with that
More
piece of
jerking
shit
off.
if you do not have a steel in your
So
hand.
Toro is a...
Toro, it does basically a Toro. Other ones, that's a graduation thing, right? So
Okay.
it's
Would you ever
it's a
see
stepping stone.
Would you ever see Aaron Chapman using one, a Toro?
No, I could, and even if Toro or Husqvarna even offered me a $10 million to wear their hat, I'd tell them to piss off.
You tend to piss
It's not
off.
worth it. It has nothing to do with the money. It has everything to do with the quality.
I'm going to get behind that in just a second here. See, would you rather have...
Hell with the goals.
This is the beard. Don't let
It's
it
the
go.
beard.
Don't let it go. Where would you live? Where would you go?
I'd go to Alaska.
Alaska? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were just up there recently, I think you said.
Yeah, I go hunting up there once a year.
Yeah, big hunter up there. Mm-hmm. Here's a good one for you. Would you rather have to inform Donald Trump he was denied a loan, or inform Joe Biden?
Damn. So you can't rapid fire that shit because I want to do both. And I want to do it both in the same room.
It's both in the same room?
In the same freaking room.
Side by side.
Whooping that Biden's going to take. Just because you get in there and you offer that same thing, you're going to see the fume coming off of one, and then the smirk on the other one. I want to see the fur fly.
Yeah. Do you think there are going to be some good debates coming up?
If the some bitches would actually debate.
If he doesn't try to get out of it?
That's going to be the case. They're going to work any angle they can to avoid that.
Do you feel like if he did debate, do you feel like he would swing you to be a Joe Biden supporter?
Hell no.
No? Not happening?
Not at all.
Okay.
I just can't get behind that whole side of it.
What side? What do you mean? The Democratic?
The side he
or
represents. Because none of it makes any.
Gotcha. So it's fair to say then you're not an AOC fan?
Oh, hell no.
Scale 1 to 10. How important is a college degree in today's world?
Not.
Not?
Sorry, it's a 0 to me.
0 for you? Last one here. When you pass away, if they made a documentary of Aaron Chapman's life, who do you want to play you?
I'm coming back for that shit. It can't, no justice. And
great,
as far
man.
as I'm concerned, when I go to the grave, I'm coming in hot, man. I'm going to leave them a lot of fodder to be able to talk about.
That's good, man. You're a great guy. Talking about the steel, the hat.
Me watching my dad, cutting wood as a kid, because we heated our house with wood,
Okay.
and so did my grandfather, and we'd make a picnic of it. It'd be a family event, and my brother got this little chainsaw as a Christmas present when we were really little. So I would take that and mimic them while we're up there. My brother just did whatever. So we kind of at first we worked together until he got tired of it and went away, and then I would mimic my elders. Well, then as you're watching these guys, my dad saw that wood. It's on the cover of the book. It was built in the 1960s in West Germany. Not long, he's like, this Polish bitch, and he just hucks it.
Yeah.
So it was the brand Poland,
Okay.
right? So I didn't know what a Polak was at
Sure.
the time. It was a knew that my dad's saw kept running. So then we end up with that saw on the ranch. It was doing a lot of work, and then now I swindled him out of it by buying him a new and got that saw for my collection, and it still runs.
Still runs.
And it runs just as strong as any of the new ones.
Yeah.
And when I take it in to get service, people are like, damn, this is an old saw. Go through it, they tune it up. It's never been rebuilt, just tune-ups.
Really?
That's it. And the damn king to heat his house, because he lives on a fixed budget. He's retired, but it's a lot of pine down there in the desert. That stuff has that wood has to grow in extreme conditions.
Right.
So when you're cutting those trees, you got to have a damn good saw. You have to be a strong person to split that wood. He does. That's why I created that. But ultimately, the reason for that was because in my mind, my belief is the coolest, most powerful, most elegant, and the most useful hand tool ever created is the chainsaw. You know, you got the ability to, of course, cut down trees. You can make a house. You make a cabin with a chainsaw. That's all you need. We've used it in the rescue world. You can use it to carve a swan, right? Out of ice.
Yes, for sure.
Chase people around Camp Crystal Lake with the damn thing if you like.
Murder.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, there's a
horror
lot of
movies that are out
benefit there,
Yeah.
right? But if you hold it incorrectly for a split second while you're using it, it'll kill you.
Right.
It has no discernment for anything other than it just does its job, and it's very powerful.
Interesting.
So the reason I work the most powerful and most creative tool ever created in the history of man, which is the human mind.
The brain,
But it's also the most dangerous. If it's misused for just like that guy, you know, Googling big titties. Now, what do you do? So Charles Handel says in my favorite book in the world, which is the Master Key System, which is an actually system. You got to read it the right way. You can't just read through it. You got to go through the process. He says that, you know, our thoughts are a plant. And the more we give it, the more we think on those things, the more water we give it till it grows, and then it's a plant that must be harvested. This guy had a seed planted, right, with porn at one point.
Right.
And he continued to water it by continuing to go back and search. And continuing to exactly. He kept working on that plant till eventually it got to its harvest point. And what was his harvest point? His harvest point was restraints in the back of a police.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what those first few nights in lockup were like. So when you consider that, we have to be very, very protective. So I put the hat on every single day to remind myself that I have to point it the right direction. That I have to hold the handles on the saw.
Now, do you wear the hat every single day?
Every single day. Every day. I've
got
like 8 of them. No. So what I do is I buy the steel hats and I cut the patches off of them and I buy the hat I like. Because all their hats suck as far as
I got you, okay.
You know, so I put the patch on what I want.
Style
and
you
so
like
I
that
have
you want.
this. I have a bunch of this precise style. I only wear this style of hat.
So that's a Aaron Chapman.
This is exclusive to Aaron. Now my guys that go wheeling with me with the initiative, they have hats, but they have this a camel hat, but they have the subdued patch. It's kind of like it's like a leather. On one of them, he's borrowing one of them right now because the sumbitch forgot his up at his cabin. He didn't have it for one of the shows.
I want to call it your brand.
Because it's their brand, trademark.
Yeah, it's kind of like who you are, though. It kind of represents.
No, I just got to get those some bitches on board to back us up and sponsor us. Because
I haven't had anybody on the show yet go down this road, and I want to see if you'll go down it with me, because you've mentioned it just sporadically throughout it just a little bit, and I don't want to go deep into it, but you've mentioned a couple different times about religion. And different views, and I'm not trying to go deep into it, but just your overall
deep as you want.
Of it.
Overall point of religion?
What's your overall thought of religion right now?
Well, one, it's
believer, not believer?
Very, very much a believer.
Okay.
So religion is very, very fragmented in our society, right? And I think that it's been misused.
Okay.
I really think it's misused. It's used as a way. Opposite of you, and they don't even remotely mesh with what you're looking for. Why the hell would you have them on?
Right.
You got to junk the whole damn tape, right? It's the same thing. Have the people around you help you read your beliefs. But religion is kind of, it's unnecessary. All get up in the morning. I'm reading my books. I'm about halfway through the Old Testament.
Okay.
And what it really just boils down to, it's a history of us. You know, and to me, it's one of the best. There's some of the best business books ever written. These debates about what's true, what's believe it. So my belief, or how I feel about it, is there's a line here you got to draw. There's God or there's not God, right? So we've drawn that. The not God, you guys go over here, do your thing. God bless you, have at it, right? The God folks, okay, let's establish who. You know, so there's a scripture that's, and I'll ask you this.
Yeah, sure.
So in this phrase, this scripture, be still and know that I am God, what is the most important word to you in that? There's one really important word in that.
Still.
When I ask it, right? I think it's I.
Okay.
Because if you know, because it's person, this being, this person is just mist in the air or whatever it is. If you know the situation, because he's my dad, he's going to take care of me. If I know who God is, then I know that all the shit that I go through in this world, all the things that I'm going through, I'm going through experience. You know, and we leave this world, I believe, with two things: relationships and experience. And I've been through a lot of crap in a short window of time. You know, we haven't even touched on the surface of the shit that I've had to experience in my world and the beatings that I've taken. You know, I've got this endless ass whooping. But it's the experience that it seems to know exactly what he put us here to experience things, right? And so I know that the individual put us here is for us to grow and to get those experiences. So I can be still and not be overly anxious about what tomorrow's going to bring, because I know who's in charge of it. I know there's a reason for it. And if I wake up to an ass whooping tomorrow, there's something good is going to come from it, because every single one has helped me. So then when I read the scriptures, I'm going through it together, and I don't know if you know who Cleon Skousen is.
No.
I went through his books. He's got 3 books on the Old Testament.
Okay.
It's like 1,800 pages altogether. I read through that fast and I got through the Old Testament. So I was trying to read along. It's some fascinating information he was able to dig through and explain it all. And then you're reading the Book of Mormon and all that stuff, and you really just understand it. God, just people explaining to us, we've been there, that this was the outcome. So I'm trying to tell my clients, the reason that makes me different than any other lender in my space, that's a great way to learn playground at school as to who you can walk by and flick in the balls and who you can't, right? You do it to the wrong guy, he'll beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
The other one, you just keep, you know, he takes it, you can just keep doing it to it every day and have fun with it. Talking about the mortgage industry. There's 300,000 people licensed to do what I do. When you look at the averages, the average person is doing 2 to 3 transactions in my role. I do 6.49 a day.
That's crazy.
With my team.
Top 1% of the 300,000.
Yeah, I'm top 10% of the top 1%. Okay. This year, I'll probably hit in the top 1%. Top 1%. Because of the volume that we're doing. Of course, respond with the rest of them are doing, because there could be others kicking ass too. So when you're doing between 700 and 1,000 this year, probably 1,200 transactions this year, you get to see a lot of people make decisions about their business. So offer that experience to them. That this is where people face the CEO of your business, but let me give you my insight. Well, in the same texts of people that went go through the same process, you know, and if it's inspired text, if by some chance can help us understand the next level and the next level, why would we not want to embrace that?
Yeah.
So if you truly believe that there is a God, whether you want to try and be non-denominational, I don't. It was written by flawed people. Too often, everybody wants to just shit all over religious text because, well, that guy we found out did that. Well, who cares that he did that? If I'm going to be crucified for the things that I did wrong through my life, crap, I'm always just throwing the towel down now, because if I'm worried about things coming out, a lot of damn skeletons that come up, and everybody does. And if you don't them, then you are a sneaky sumbitch that's just hiding your shit from everybody else.
Or you have done nothing.
Have no experience.
Yeah, you've tried
so
nothing,
why the hell would I
nothing.
want to be around if you've never done anything wrong?
Right.
You're a waste of money.
Yeah. I want to do 2 things here. We get a lot of good answers for what money means, and then I also want to give you the kind of lay the table here for you, and I want to get Aaron Chapman's words of wisdom here, kind of of what you would tell the viewers here. I've had an incredible time on this. I think I'm thinking here, and I don't want to say this for other guests, but it is what it is. And the time has flown. Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit worried to get back to the real life, if you will. I got a photo here of you,
and that is bad.
We got the steel. We got
not my
the beard.
favorite photo of me, but it's still badass.
Yeah, and so Aaron Chapman, money is. I love to get people's insight and answers. Whether it be one word or a phrase, it doesn't matter to me. So I want you to write that here, and then I'm going to have you sign it right here, and then I'm going to have you come back and talk to me about what does this mean and what does it mean to you. I got a Sharpie here for you. I'm going to have camera
my
guy
writing sucks.
come over your head. Now,
So if you've got some, well, I'll try it.
No, you know
if
what,
you read it.
Corey, you want to come up here? No, I tell you what. Let me do it for you. I'll do it for you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so give me. You give me. Do you got it over here? You give me the word or phrase, whatever it is.
2 words.
I'm gonna be on the spot here. Natural. N-A-T. Noel. U-R-A-L. Natural resources. R-E-S-O-U-R-C-E-S. There you go. Natural resources.
And that is way better than I've been able to write that crap. So
all right, now I still have you sign it.
I can get a signature out. I've still had to sign checks.
Right there. You've probably done that one 1,000 times, or actually maybe 1,000,000 times. All right, here we go. What a freaking great answer right there. And money is natural resources. What does that mean?
So I personally look at money as like a river.
Okay.
Right? So a lot of people like to take it and they want to pull it up and keep it.
Okay.
I'm of the belief that you have to let it flow. And the more you let it flow, if you're flowing, then it continues to grow.
Money
the banks
does.
of your river continue to grow and continue to expand. If you look along the banks of rivers, you have just all this growth. Look at the Nile, right? You have all this green along the Nile. What's away from the river? It's desolate, right? So you have all this resource that is fueling all this productivity and capability and helping people and building people up. And and the more that it flows and the more that opens up that pathway can accommodate more and more. And it only happens when you let it go to the wrong place. Then all of a sudden it kills it off. So you have to decide which direction resource for to continue to grow, and next thing you know, you get more and more. You'll never run out. It doesn't run out as long as you're using it for proper purposes. When it becomes selfish, it does. Then you get to the thought process where people want to just take it and hold it. Well, think about water. When you hold it, it becomes a swamp. What lives in the swamp?
Death, really?
Nothing. And I mean, a swamp kills everything. And if it does survive in that swamp, it survives in it. You can't go swimming in it. Survives in it. It's bacteria. It's corrosive. So that I think that is a natural resources, because when it becomes for selfish purposes, it becomes corrosive. It becomes poisonous. It becomes a killer. But when it flows for the proper purpose, held like that, like a swamp, is when people talk about money being evil. And in reality, the statement is money. The love of money is evil. The second you take it up and swamp that up, that's when it becomes evil.
Go back to religion for a second. Have you ever seen the verse in, you're going through the Old Testament, Ecclesiastes, where it talks about money? It says the verse, money answereth all things. You ever seen that verse?
Well, it answers all things on both sides. So think about it. There's a line there, because it also answers, and it answers all things. It tells you the reason why an Epstein exists, right? Why do you have dirtbag some bitches up there in Washington that start off with $100,000 a year job that have millions of dollars? Well, the answer is one thing. It's the payoffs. It's the pockets being filled up. It's all that. And I also feel when they misquote that scripture, or misquote that quote, whatever it is, about the root of all evil, the love of it. When they misquote it, it's because they're justifying their poverty.
Exactly what happens.
And we are not, God is not a bankrupt. And if we're supposed to be God-like people, creative people, we're creative beings. We can create. Every damn thing I've got is because I sat and I decided and I wrote it down and it came. That's what book number 1 talks about. Is because I wrote something down and literally I got way more than I bargained for. So you got to be careful what you're looking for. But if you're using it as an excuse, successful, is because you don't want to be, or you don't want it bad enough. And then you need every excuse in the world why you got dicked.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to end on this one right here. What is your words of wisdom? We're at the end here, and I want to get Aaron Chapman's final kind of words here. What would you leave the viewers with from you right now?
I would say that figure out how you want to start your day. Because we don't have control over our day. We don't have control over the end of our day. It's how you start it is what determines how it goes. And what I've found that when I started reading, and I had to get up earlier to be able to read, and I started that routine of reading every day and then incorporating into some workout and all these other things into it, I have control of my life from 4:30 on till 8 a.m. Once 8 a.m. hits, It's a shitstorm. I mean,
Wide open.
I'm beholden to a 20-year-old assistant who books my calendar and reads my emails.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm literally just following the calendar and trying to manage it the best I can. But I own that time.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that big ominous foot in life that's trying to kick your ass gets up at 7:45, because that's when most of the world gets up. 7:45 because they have to be to work at 8. Right. Hair sticking up. They've got their shirt on backwards. They're hauling ass into
Makeup
work.
in the car.
And their day already sucks because they're already behind. So get up before the foot does and start creating the life that you want by yourself with good stuff, not by getting on porn, right? And once you start controlling your day, you've already won.
Yeah.
You've already defeated 90% of the population that will not pay that price. You know, and then you got to work your ass off. The one thing that people don't understand is when you become successful. I've achieved a certain amount of success, not the extent that I'm going to by the end of my life, but it's harder to keep it than it is to get it. It's so difficult to keep it. So you got to stay at it and stay at it. So that I'm shaking my ass like I'm late on rent, because I am. I'm behind it all the time. And you know, everybody's like, well, you know, what's your retirement numbers? I don't have one. I go to the grave, I'm coming in hot. I am not gonna stop, because other people are drafting off of that, and I need them to be successful. And there's nothing cooler in my life than to see somebody who's achieved something as a direct result of my influence. So now I'm hell-bent on influencing everybody I possibly can, and I will drive myself into the ground while I do it.
This is a good man. I'm gonna end it with Aaron Chapman was gonna go in the grave hot. Coming in hot.
Coming in hot. When I go to the grave, I'm coming in hot.
I love it. Man, what a great interview. Those of the viewers, make sure you guys subscribe. Me and Aaron will try to respond on those comments and your questions and responses there. Make sure you go to Aaron Chapman's website, which is aaronbchapman.com. For more
2 A's, 1 R.
Watching. We'll see you next week on the Money Is Show.